We're back in the chaos, and there's definitely a lot of chaos in all the sports, but most notably college football, where we have the conference championships this weekend. Hello, and welcome to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shohei's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. But we are back recording at Cruz's Chaos, the number 2 place to be in suburban Etobicoke. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz, and you know what's comfortable about this, buddy?
What's that?
I'm in the heart of Leaf Nation, and all you can see around here is Hab stuff. Isn't that amazing?
I need to get you a nice Maple Leaf piece of merchandise.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Not even like an Austin. You like Matthews?
Okay, I think I do have a doll, and I haven't got it out. Maybe I should get my Austin Matthews bobblehead out. We'll put it on the table. Just glad Austin's back. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? But in any event, how was your week?
Not bad. Can't really complain. How about you?
My week was just insane. You well know by what's happening in the world today. So what has happened is when you are a disciple of the team, crazy ass stuff happens over a lifetime. So I'm just wanted to point out to some people that I have trouble with the word nostalgia.
Yeah, you've pointed this out before.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you why I don't like nostalgia. Now, I love memories, okay? So, as everybody know, I've been a 50-year plus Detroit Lion fan, and everyone talks about the nostalgic days. No, we don't. They were losers. I don't want to talk about that anymore. So, in any event, I moved to Windsor, Ontario in 1971. And by 1971, I already knew who Bob Seger was. So, what happens when people tell me about nostalgia? They put on that song, and it takes them back to that time. So every time they hear Supertramp, they're depressed. Okay, no, I didn't mean that. But anyways, my point being is this.
Supertramp brings up good memories for me.
Okay, and so does everybody. So so Johnny Mav, I had to throw that in there. In any event, what I'm trying to tell you is I like to live in the moment and forget nostalgia and forget that Bob Seger was back in 1971, because by the time the Live Bullet album came out, and by 1980, I was moving to my new apartment. I put the album underneath the wheel of my car, and I spun it down the road and said, I had enough with that Seger shit. You know what I mean? However, time has passed, and my Detroit Lions have risen to the top. And I just needed something to motivate me in the morning before a game, because I get so wired before Lions games. I even watch them by myself. In any event, I needed something Detroit to make me get excited for the playoffs last year, and for some reason, I got a vision of Bob Seger's Live Bullet. And when I put that album on again, and I heard Nutbush City and Hey Detroit, that wasn't nostalgia. That song worked for that moment. That worked for me. So now, before playoff games, I play Nutbush City by Bob Seger from the Live Bullet album, not because it's nostalgic, because it makes my moment today. Do people understand that?
I get that.
Thank you very much. So everyone out there that tells me about nostalgia, I'm going to go pooey. But if you want to talk about it in the moment, Nutbush, hey Detroit, Nutbush City, we're going to Super Bowl. And Seger's been at the games.
Just don't play that Jimi Hendrix, the one where he talks about beating Michigan.
Oh, no, I don't. That's one of my favorite albums, too. Right up there. Happy New Year's, everybody. I just want to say thank you, Southern Cal, for beating Michigan. I'm really glad.
That was in the Rose Bowl, I guess?
Yeah, in the Rose Bowl in 1970. You know what I mean? And I just went, what? You know what I mean? But anyways, anything else that was interesting this week?
Yeah, so big shout out to Paul Bissonette. Took on 6 guys in a CVS. Came out of it better looking than the other 6 guys. And the other 6 guys got charged. Basically, if you don't know, he was at a bar. These guys came in after a round of golf. And at this bar, if you don't have a seat, they're not going to serve you. They didn't get a seat. They got rowdy. They want to fight the owner. And Bissonette was like, hey, let's take it outside. I guess he knew the owner. Or he knows the owner.
Knew the owner very well.
Yeah, and they took it to a CVS, which is like a Shoppers Drug Mart, and they took it next door, and they had a fight in there, apparently.
Oh, you know what the great thing about it, though, is J.J. Watt came on the McAfee show, he goes on to this restaurant on a regular basis, and he said he wished he had showed up at that moment, because why didn't somebody help him out? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But now we find out that these guys are...
Well, you're taking on 6 guys.
And apparently they were a type of gypsy coming from the golf course, and they were lubricated.
Yeah.
Okay, so the funny thing about this story is, big shout out to Bissonette. Big shout out. First of all, he was protecting the environment. He was protecting the families. He lost his shoe. He took a couple kicks. But all 6 of those guys got charged. And if you want to go online and see their mug shots... Big shout out to Biz, man. He did his damage. He Steven Seagal'd them, maybe even Bruce Lee'd him. I'm not sure, but big shout out. Protecting the neighborhood, keeping positivity from a bunch of gypsy hooligans. Big shout out here to the house. We support that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, just don't be reckless about it. I don't know about going full vigilante or anything, but
okay. The bottom line is, when he was on, because he was on afterwards. You see him on TV, and he tried to be humble about it. But then again, when you got family and kids there, and a bunch of people that are being obnoxious in a regular place, I heard it's a little bit upscale, cool.
Okay,
it's that kind of cool place to go to. And like I said, when JJ Watt came on and said that's a cool ass bar, I would have gone there. I would have helped knock those guys out. Don't be belligerent in public and know who your audience are, because you might get Paul Beezenetted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another hockey shout out, Dick Irvin Jr. I know you want to shout out to him.
Well, I thought it was quite interesting because I was going fast forward to it because Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins. I got to say that. In any event, they
got a little something caught in your throat there.
Ah, come on. Anyways, they had their glorious, and I have to admit they did a pretty good job, especially bringing out Johnny Busick, the old Johnny Busick with the cane, and Ken Dryden helping him, which is very cool because it was a traditional Montreal-Boston rivalry,
thing,
and they did a big thing up for their 100th anniversary, and they brought out the thing in the middle and the fast in here and all that. But anyway, during all that, someone at CBC, or maybe it was Ron McLean, I don't want to give him that much credit, took the time to go talk to 92-year-old. 92 is that how old he is now?
91 or 92, yeah.
Whatever the case may be, he was sitting in the comfort of his living room and he was talking about the history of the game and the Boston Bruins from when he was a kid right up till now. People, I wish everyone could have heard it because someone that old, that's still sharp. And with those great memories, I got chills sometimes because some of the games and some of the players, I watched that stuff in real time. I'm a Habs guy.
Sure.
What was he? He was a sidekick guy with Danny Gallivan, the greatest play-by-play announcer of all time, in my opinion. But big shout out to Dick at 92 years old, coming on TV and giving us a lesson in why we love hockey.
Absolutely. Speaking of why we love sports, the college football thing just continues to ramp up. Another edition of the rankings came up. Things are starting to fall into place now that the conference championships are this weekend. Last night we had a few of them. Boise State beat UNLV 21-7 in the Mountain West Conference Championship. Army beat Tulane 35-14 in the American Athletic Conference championship game. Army still with a tad outside shot of making it in if the Big 12 championship just turns into a big mess. That's ASU and Iowa State. If that just becomes a complete shit show, I think they have to give it to Army.
I think Army's got about as much chance of getting into the playoff as I do of holding Mariah Carey's hand when she comes out of the Christmas.
Well, hold on. What if this Arizona State Iowa State game is just a complete mess?
No, I don't.
You don't think there's a chance of that happening at all?
I think it'll probably be a close game, but really what's going to happen is we've known because we've been doing a little background checking on this is that the committee's going to look at their strength of schedule and who they played and said no. And Army's only played one big game, and what happened? They got bitch slapped.
They lost to Notre Dame.
So that's going to hurt. So I really don't see it. God bless them for one of the greatest.
They've been smashing every other team they've played, though.
Okay, but they played Milani State and Cruz's college, like that. And you know what? You can only beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, but who's Arizona State and Iowa State beaten?
Like I said,
there you go.
So I don't think they're going to go in. We all know that once BYU got out of the picture and Boise State's already in because of the winning, they're not going to let a team of that. And who are they going to knock out? Alabama? Ole Miss?
Who?
SMU?
Army?
Yeah, Army. Who?
Well, they would because they've won their conference championship game. So if Iowa State, that's what I'm saying. Iowa State, Arizona State. If that turns into a mess, they'd become the 5th best conference champion. So they're going to knock out the Big 12 champion.
Wow. I don't see that happening, but hey, stranger things have gone on, as we can see by the rankings right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Iowa State's schedule. They haven't beaten anyone ranked. They beat Kansas State, but I don't think they're ranked anymore.
No, they were ranked like September 1st. Okay.
I feel like even like up to a month ago, they were still ranked.
No,
and Arizona
was.
Although Arizona State has beaten BYU.
Yes, and that's why BYU's around, because they got some bad losses. But what we do know, because we were listening to the guy from the committee from Michigan, so he's an honorable man. We do know this, that the people that are already in who are not playing this weekend are not going to be going anywhere because there's no more, as we said, a metric to change where they have been in there. And that leads credibility to these 13-member group that's deciding on this. So we know that Penn State, Tennessee, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Indiana are all in no matter what.
Georgia.
Georgia's probably going to be in because they're in the SEC Conference Championship. So if you make, and they're saying
they're not going to punish teams for that extra data point, so they're in.
Exactly. So, and not only that, it's the strength of schedule in the SEC because the understanding is playing at any SEC school on any given Saturday is like a mad rivalry, unmatched in most places in the country.
Yeah.
Which leads me to this. If you're going to have this as the SEC Big Ten Invitational, we talk about the variance in these games. If things get changed, like if Oregon loses to Penn State or something crazy like Texas beats Georgia, whatever it's going to be, these standings are going to be a little bit different naturally because of the metrics, analytics, and all the bullshit I don't want to talk about.
Well, the big one is if SMU loses to Clemson.
That's just going to throw everything into a tizzy if it does. But my point is this. They're talking about SEC says, if all those schools had to come down here and play us on a regular basis, they wouldn't have this kind of record. And the Big Ten's going, well, yeah, you guys all play in the sunshine. Come on up here north sometimes, and let's see what's going to happen. So my fever and hope is that if the committee really wants to get us excited, one of those teams from the south should have to travel north, and one of those teams from the north should travel south, and then we can shut everybody the freak up. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but that's basically on track to happen where Tennessee, well, they're not exactly in the Big Ten, but Tennessee, as it stands right now, would have to go to Notre Dame for their first playoff game, and Ohio State would have to go to Georgia.
Okay, that's what they're saying now, okay? Because look at the thing here. I like the fact that they got Tennessee and Ohio State and Alabama and Notre Dame. Like, I like that setup, but I do think it's going to change with whatever happens to Penn State. Like, if Penn State gets routed by Oregon, and Ohio State's already beaten Penn State, and I
don't think they're going to change it. I think they're still going to have Penn State with the higher ranking than Ohio State, though.
Well, anyway, everyone wants that fifth spot. They're going to start. You want why? Why wouldn't you want the fifth spot?
Because but you're like, let's say, okay, so if you're the Big 12 champion, Arizona State, Iowa State, whoever that's going to be, let's say it's Arizona State for argument's sake, you're going to play Alabama at home.
Alabama should crush you.
That's why. I don't think that 5 seed is that
coveted.
I
think it's huge. I'm going to
Well, I mean, you can get a home playoff game. I think it's bigger for the university than it is for the team itself, if that makes sense.
Point well taken. I got that. Money changes everything. Yeah. We know that. So, I'm saying if Penn State loses to Oregon, I can see Ohio State jumping up and being ahead
I don't think so, though, because they said you're not going to be punished for that extra data point.
No, but then they're going to have to look at the rankings. Where's Penn State now? Ohio State had a better Big Ten record. They beat more. They got a stronger strength of schedule. Now, say Oregon beats Penn State 25-0. Oregon barely beat Ohio State, so that's going to come into the play. So that means Ohio State moves up to number 5. It's a perfect spot. Why? Because then Ohio State.
Well, Ohio State can't move up to 5. They can only move up to 6.
I mean, no. Penn State's apparently number 5 right now.
No, they're not. They would be number 6.
Are you looking at the bracket?
What bracket are you looking at?
This is how the bracket plays out right now.
But top 5, but the top 5. No, hold on.
Look at the rankings.
I'm not looking at the rankings. Okay. Top 5 are reserved for conference champions. Okay. So how can Penn State or Ohio State make it up to number 5 unless Penn State beats Oregon? That doesn't make sense.
What they're going to say is this, okay? If Arizona State gets in, they're going to be the weakest one.
Yeah, they're going to be the 5 seed.
Okay, no, they're going to be the 12 seed.
I thought top 5 was reserved for.
No, only top 4. Only top 4. So it's ACC, Big 12, SEC, and Big 10. It's only top 4 conferences. They say the 5th one will get in, but it'll be the highest ranked of the playoff.
Okay,
you know what
I had
mean?
that wrong then.
So that's why you want to get in as number 5 spot. It's a sweet spot. You're going to get the weakest conference champion, and then the next person you're going to play is the lowest seeded team with a bye. So Ohio State, if Penn State gets smoked by Oregon.
Okay, this actually works out better then. You actually get better matchups this way. So it would be Penn State, Arizona State.
Yes.
Notre Dame, Alabama.
Yeah.
Georgia, Indiana, and Ohio State, Tennessee.
Okay, but that's not. I'm saying that's going to be completely. We've discussed this. It's going to be all messed up. SMU has to win.
Yes, that's the real wild card. Because if they don't make it, or if they don't win their conference championship today, you would assume that they're going to knock Alabama out.
But the thing is, they're going to say Alabama might knock them out. Nobody likes SMU. I've already told you about that.
Yeah.
They can't get in, and their money's there, and they're going to make a better schedule. In my opinion, SMU is here to stay, people.
Yeah.
Get ready. The next 5 years, they're going to start dynasty and shit. Trust me. We had this discussion about what they've been doing years ago, and that's why they weren't welcomed in the Big 12, Big 10, and the SEC. So, got the 2 games you got to look at. This is how I see it. We don't know what's going to happen with Texas and Georgia. If Texas happens to beat
I'm
Georgia,
assuming Texas is going to win because all you heard all year was how Georgia went into their home and beat them.
now they're playing.
And Nick Saban, but hold on, Nick Saban also said that's very hard to beat a team twice in 1 year.
Where are they playing the game?
It's in Indianapolis, isn't it?
No, that's a Big Ten championship. Where's the SEC championship? Last time I checked, it's in Mercedes.
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, and where's Georgia?
Yeah, but the Texas fans are going to travel too.
I can't say. No, anyways, our point being is this. If Texas beats Georgia, where do they fall to? Presently, they're number 7. Do they fall down to the number 12 spot too? Because then that's going to change who they play along the way.
But again, I don't think you're going to be. They said that you're not going to be punished for that extra data point. So
but it's going to change the standings. It's going to change the rankings. Like what we're seeing on this bracket right now, I don't think we're going to see come Tuesday. So my point being is this. I think Ohio State's going to slide in the back door. I think that Oregon's going to bitch slap Penn State because they can't score. So if they ended up beating them like 28-10 or 35,
I think they beat them by more than a touchdown.
okay, so if they win convincingly, and Ohio State's already beaten Penn State, and they went to the wire with Oregon, according to the criterion of the committee, that moves Ohio State.
But they
ahead
also
of Penn
said
State.
they're not going to punish guys for that extra data point, though.
No, you're going to stay in the playoffs. You're not going to get knocked out of the
Okay.
playoffs, but it might affect your ranking. That's what I'm getting
Okay.
at. So if Ohio State moves up, they're going to get the shittiest guy. They're going to have to still, I guess they're going to even get a home game, which they're going to probably win against whoever. Okay?
Yeah, well, they're going to get a home game anyways.
Okay, so they're going to get a home game. So they're going to probably beat whoever that lackey is going to be. All right? And then they're going to run right into Boise State.
Well, I know right now that as it stands, they would play Tennessee, and they're no pushover.
But that's not going to happen. That's
Who knows?
Gonna change.
Who knows?
Who do you think's going to win, Oregon or Penn State?
Oregon.
Okay, so
Oregon looks like the best team in the country.
I hate Ohio State with a passion, and one of the things we should bring up for a minute, college football, is we're going to discuss this in a minute. But the fact is, Ohio State's going to move up. My prediction is Ohio State is going to move up. They're going to beat the hell out of whoever they get in the first round, and then they're going to go play Boise the next round, and they're going to crush Boise, which puts them automatically.
Well, once you get to
in
the
that
quarterfinals, though, it's neutral. It's neutral site though.
So they're going to beat them worse. Beat them worse.
God.
So that means that Ohio State, which will be like, will go right into there, whoever the number 1 seed is, and they're not going to be scared of the number 1 seed because.
So you're saying they're going to jump up to the number 7 seed?
I think they're going to jump all the way up to the number 5 seed. Where have you
What? Wait, but
Okay.
that doesn't make sense. How are they going to pass Notre Dame? That doesn't make sense.
Oh, then maybe Notre Dame will move up. I don't know.
I don't
We're gonna have
think
to
so.
see. I think it's going to be. We'll have to see.
That doesn't make sense. I think I think Ohio State can move up 1 spot.
I thought that Ohio State should have been ranked harder than Notre Dame. It's just that they crushed Ohio State for getting beat by Michigan.
Yeah.
Was that not amazing? Can I shout out to that? Wait a second. By game time, we were a 21-point underdog. The line opened at 19.5, closed at 21.
And you didn't even want to say on the show that they'd cover.
Listen, I'm a realist. What was I nervous about? I was nervous about the beating. You don't think I was doing cartwheels in the fourth quarter? I was saying there's our Super Bowl. the Ohio State. You know the 3 things I got. You know what? My heart bled purple piss when I seen them lose and they were crying. The only thing is that there's a big subject now about flag planting.
Oh, sure.
Did you see what happened in the Michigan-Ohio game now?
Well, it happened in a couple other games, too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What was it? Was it Alabama or somebody? Someone down south in the SEC. Maybe it was Georgia was trying to plant it because they were on the road. Anyways, they were saying that's the beauty of college sports because it exemplifies the rivalries and why these certain places in the year don't have a pro team, so they're attached to their college team since 1901 or whatever the case may be. But you can't have that. As soon as I seen that Michigan guy with the flag, I went, oh, gee. They were in Columbus. I seen it. As soon as it was coming, as soon as I seen the flag, because I was all happy. I'm going, yeah, stick it up their ass. Screw you. Oh, and you know what's a real sin in college sports? Look at the coach, Gray, the coach for Ohio State. His record's 48-1 in the Big Ten, 1-4 against Michigan. They want the guy's head.
Yeah.
They want his head. Like, look at how tough it is in college football. That's insane. The guy's 48-1 in the conference, and you're going to fire his ass? That's how insane rivalries are in college sports. Big shout out to
How many
Blue.
national championships has he won?
What's that? Okay.
That's also part of it, too.
Be careful what you wish for. Is the grass always greener on the other side? We never
Fair
know.
enough.
You know what I mean? Look at the guy the guy from Washington who's coaching Alabama now. Look what he's going through first year after Saban. Oh,
Yep.
oh, that's why I say sometimes do the committee do things based on brand or they do things based on facts. And I think they've used this scheduling criterion to bend it a bit because when it started, remember when we started, can a 3-loss team make the playoffs? A 3-loss team is going to make the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. That's just the way it is.
But it's about getting the best 12 teams in there, and it looks like they're doing that.
Okay, well, I think when they get to 12, like if Alabama gets pushed out because, like, say Army does that, because what?
Well, Army would push out the Big 12 winner if that happens.
Okay, so what happened was a couple years ago, and it's already been proven, like the last 2 years, Florida State cried like little bitches last year. Okay, so then they got this year. What happened? Wait till we get to this year. We're going to show you. What happened to Florida State?
Well, even in their bowl game last year, they got smoked. I know they had some seniors sitting out, but still.
Okay, so there you go. So now what was the other one? We're talking about Florida State and rising up. There was another team, too.
That was complaining?
No, they were talking about how they make the selections and you should take the best teams. 2 years ago, TCU upset Michigan.
Yes.
Okay, that was a crazy game. That one broke my heart. Okay, but TCU, a lot of people questioned why should they even be in there in the first place. They pulled an upset. What happened in the next game?
They got smoked in the championship.
So they should never have been in the playoffs in the first place. That's what the committee's trying to do now. So they're setting up criterion so a team like Army has a chance to get in, but at the same time they recognize them. They don't want them around because they're afraid if they get them up against Ohio State, ESPN puts the game in prime time and nobody's watching by halftime.
But also, like, if you have like the top teams playing, there's always going to be a chance of them like smoking the team beneath them, right?
Always, but I just say this. I wasn't when I went up from 4-team to 12-team, if you go back and check the tapes, I wasn't always jumping around about this. You know what I mean? Why are we going suddenly to 12 teams? However, I've kind of moved over, let my pendulum swing the other way due to this. It has made regular season games far more significant.
Yes.
It's made the conference championships far more significant.
Which I think is the most important thing.
100% because we at the House That Happens, what are we looking for?
The highest level of competition.
And what have they created of anything else on this? They've created the highest level of competition.
Well, I love this format way more than the 4-team playoff.
I do too. I thought 8 would have been better, but look, they talk about going to 16. If they go to 16.
If you're going to 12, like, you got to talk about going to 16, I feel.
No, because now you're letting in dogs. You're letting in dogs. Then it's a TV show. Then it's reality.
Well, what do you think March Madness is?
Oh, but still, okay. Okay, no.
That's top 68.
Okay, well, that's why it's out of control. It becomes parody. Everything gets watered down. And then it's a harder chance to win because maybe your boys were in Vegas for the tournament and they went out that night and they get beat by Mercer.
This is what college sports are all about, though, to me.
Basketball, I got it. And football, because of the programs. Like, why should Mercer ever play Alabama? You know what I mean? Why should Ignite State play frickin' Georgia or whatever? You know what I mean? But they pay those schools, and that almost cost Notre Dame because they paid Northern Illinois $1.5 million to come to their house for a game and got beat. So it can blow up in your face. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the playoffs, to me, I think it's very interesting. I'm more excited. I'm going to be watching all the games. I've had more look at the teams around. And it's another thing you got to watch out about. I feel bad for Miami and Cam Ward because they got close, but they lost at the wrong time. Like, how can you put them in according to the Milani power rankings? Miami's lost 2 of its last 4.
That's the big problem. And they look like shoo-ins for basically up until the last couple of weeks.
Oh, and then what ends up happening, SMU came in the back door, a school that nobody wanted. Everybody, and you know what? They're both.
Well, SMU was up there all year, though.
True, but those in the history of colleges, those are the 2 badasses. SMU and Miami. We got the 30 for 30s. We know what's going on.
The U part 1 and 2.
Okay, so that just lets you know what's going on. So they're rising up, and you know what I don't understand? Everybody's kind of pining that Miami's back from the glory days of college football. Then they look at SMU and they spit in the ground. It's insane, don't you think?
Joe, I mean, you talked about SMU's reputation, but we're already spending a lot of time on this. Are we on all the favorites for today? Oregon's given up 3.5 points to Penn State. I think they cover easily.
Yep.
SMU's given up 2.5 to Clemson. They should cover.
I agree.
Texas has given up 3 to Georgia. I think Texas wins this.
Okay, we got a beer on that. I'm taking Georgia to bum rush them.
And then Arizona State is actually the underdog against Iowa State, who is lower ranked than them. I think Arizona State wins.
It's in where's the game at though? It's somewhere in Iowa, I believe. That's why. It's a neutral site, but
Texas, or AT&T Stadium.
What that?
Jerry World.
Wow, is it?
Yep.
Should be interesting. Keep your eye on it, people. We'll keep you posted. The playoffs have been amazing.
Absolutely. And our last shout out, getting back to that, the WNBA team in Toronto has finally been named. I didn't like it at first, but it has actually slowly been growing on me, the name. It is the Toronto Tempo.
You know what I like about it? Because that's a basketball phrase.
Tempo?
Tempo. Yeah. We'll get used to it. And there'll be
And Toronto's kind of like a growing music city. I get that.
Yeah, no, it was. It was a bigger music season. It's coming back.
Yeah.
We're just discussing about that. Go back when you were born. The music scene in Toronto was way more vibrant than it is now.
Sure.
Okay, you know what I mean? But there's a lot. That's not what we're talking about. The name is cool. At first I went, what? I'm glad it's not something stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The tempo is pretty good.
Better than Toronto Scepters.
Oh, I don't know who got that together because I think they were smelling something about the Raptors and Scepters, and I don't know. I think the Tempo's a cool name, and I think it's going to go good with the logo.
I'm not a big fan of the logo and colors, though.
I'm thinking that eventually down the road, they're going to be able to do something with that.
I don't know. I hope those are just temporary, because right now it just looks like a knockoff Indiana Pacers logo, and then like burgundy or maroon and light blue is the colors.
I didn't like, that.
I'm not a fan of that.
You know what the light blue is all about with me, right? So as you see my guitar, you don't consider that light blue, do you?
I'd have to see that a little bit more. This is making for great audio. Not really. That's more of like a metallic-y kind of blue.
Honolulu blue, cousins.
No, not really. It's closer to. It's like kind of like a silverish thing. It's more metallic.
I'm glad you didn't say it was light blue.
No.
That's all that I'm happening on. But I think what they're going to do is, I think they're going to change the uniform over time. Look at the evolution of the
Well, it's never going to
Raptors.
stay. I get that.
You know what I mean? They make mistakes. You know what they're screaming about in the NBA? When the Memphis guys wear the Vancouver jerseys. People love them. They go. Did you see the Grizzlies last night? The old Vancouver
I bet you
jerseys?
people in Vancouver don't like that.
They
That's like when
they didn't deserve the team.
That's like when the Avalanche wear the Nordique stuff and Carolina wears the Hartford stuff. I hate that.
I don't mind when Carolina wears the Hartford
No,
stuff.
but you're not Hartford. Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
They just wear the color scheme.
No, they wear the Whalers logo sometimes too. They do like full Whalers throwback nights. I think that's goofy as fuck. I don't like that at all.
I don't.
The Avalanche don't do it as much, but they still do it once in a while.
Because they wear the Nordique colors.
The whole uniform.
You know what
I think that's so stupid. I think that's Bush League.
Anyways, we're on the Tempo here. We like the name. Improve the uniform.
Improve the logo. I hope those aren't the final colors. I would say go like red or blue, traditional Toronto colors. Maybe purple as like a little bit of a partner to the Raptors there in a way. A little bit of a... I
could see that happening. Did you see the rollout for the team out in San Francisco? Did you see their rollout?
No, I didn't actually.
Steph Curry and doing, because they had the draft. Because they're playing next year. We're not playing till 2 years.
2026, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So in any event, they had the thing in the draft and all the players, and he had them out there. Great promotion by the WNBA. I think the PWHL should have done a little bit more like that.
Well, they got less money. WNBA, they're supported by the NBA. PWHL, they don't have that kind of cash.
So when are they going to get their opportunity to the NHL to back them?
I think the NHL is like Gary Bettman, especially. He's a shrewd man. I think he's not going to do it unless he's got reason to show that it's going to bring it. Yeah, exactly.
Money. You know
and like the NHL is not the NBA. I don't think they can afford to lose money through a league like that.
I got a point there, but I was hoping that maybe some of the new TV contracts that could siphon a little money off to push it up. Because the only reason that the WNBA survived as long as they did is because they had the support of the NBA.
Absolutely.
Now it took off on its own. It took a number of years to get there, but it needed that backing. I'm saying I don't see the PWHL having that backing yet.
No.
That's what makes me nervous. Hence the reason. I guess we're going to move from.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's going to be whatever. Not to get too off topic, but PWHL. They're going to have some patient investors because the first 5, maybe even 10 years are going to be rough. But if you can build it up, and I think there is going to be a right way to do it.
Oh, I'm with you. So are we moving from the Tempo to the Spectres? Is that what you're saying?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
I've got some things to say about them. But anyways, congratulations to the girls, the press, the uniform, and let's get used to the Toronto Tempo because I'm a music guy.
I know you are.
I can dig
your Chaos here says a couple things about that. But either way, moving on to one of our favorites here at the house that happens, Formula One, where last weekend in Qatar, Piastri, Norris were 1-2 in the sprint. Sainz, Leclerc got a 4-5, kind of keeping up with them in the constructors. Perez off to a slow start in that sprint. I don't know if he was just like asleep or not paying attention or what, but
I
that
was
light
looking
wind
for
green.
his feet to go through the floor like Fred Flintstone to get the car going. Come
No,
on,
instead
buddy.
Colapinto passed him.
Oh,
in the pit
exactly.
lane.
And I was looking underneath. Hey, come on, Perez, get your feet on the ground. Let's get going. You know?
Yeah, but the big drama, obviously, Max and Russell having a little kerfuffle in qualifying. Max accusing Russell of throwing him under the bus. I don't know if you heard too, but they had the drivers. They had a dinner of all 20 drivers. Apparently Russell and Max were the last two to come, and they saved a seat for Russell right beside Max. And when he saw where his seat was, he picked up his chair and moved it to the other side of the table.
Oh, Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. You know what? Fuck you, Russell. And you know what? Max got 5 seconds for that.
He got a one-place grid penalty off the start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's bullshit, man.
And that was
whose fault did you think it was?
Russell was warned by his engineer that Max was there, and I don't think Max was like purposely trying to impede him. I thought it was ridiculous they got a penalty for that.
I did too, and I just thought, Max.
It wasn't on like a flying lap that Russell was on either. So
no, that's what I'm saying, and then, you know how Max drives. So, buddy, I think that Russell was being just as much of a dick. If you're gonna,
I think so too,
because I think it was a reputation.
Yeah.
More than anything, okay, that's that guy. He does that. Let's freaking penalize him first. Like, when did George Russell become a saint?
You know what I think of him.
Okay, I know that. So
I have three things to say to George Russell.
Anyways, what attracted me about the race was the speed of it.
Qatar's a great track. It wasn't even built for cars. It was built for MotoGP, like the bikes, I believe. But it works out great as a Formula One track.
I agree, and the speed was good, and I like the fact that Red Bull in the sprint looked like, what are they doing? Look at the sprint. They did like.
But then for qualifying in the race, they found the pace.
Yeah, so they had to do it. Yeah, they changed a couple of, what was it? Something on the back end they changed, and they
their rear wing,
and the tires. They decided to go on this tire at this time with this wing, and bang! When they got to qualifying, they were there. You know what I mean? Which just leads me to believe, if you don't think that Max Verstappen, that was my 2023 athlete of the year, I don't think he'll quite make it this year.
No.
If you don't think that this guy's a great driver in the highest level of competition, just take a look at the race sometimes. This guy's a dog.
Yeah.
He is a pure dog. And you know what? When he talks about after the races, he says a little bit more because the other guys are so excited to be there. Max seems to act a little bit more like I've already been there. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Okay, so, but you know what, when he'll talk about stuff, he talks more about, like, everyone talks about the performance of their car. Max gets into a little bit more detail. I want to thank the crew. We couldn't get out of the pit yesterday. Now we changed the wing. We got this. This is our speed. We can do this. We can hold off McLaren, blah, blah, blah. And the McLaren guys are just sitting there going, whoa, we made it. We made it. We made it. Like, come on. You know what I mean?
No, Max is always a great interview. And speaking of him, he obviously won the Qatar Grand Prix. Well, he got pole, but then he got penalized, so he won from second. Leclerc and Piastri completing the podium. Russell, Gasly 4-5. Another great race for Pierre Gasly, one of our favorites here at the house.
Yes.
Keep smoking that joint, buddy.
Yes. I wonder if he does one before the race.
Maybe after, especially after a good one.
Yeah.
But the big news is Norris getting a 10-second time penalty. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy for that mirror. Was it Bottas's mirror that fell on the track?
Yep.
It took him way too long to get the safety car out there, despite the fact it was just like right there in the straightaway. That should have been a safety car instantly. I didn't get why they took so long with that. That made no sense to me.
They had a couple of safety car moves that confused me.
That was the big one, though.
Yeah, because I went there and I'm going, ooh, what's going on there? Because everyone's seeing. Remember they zoomed in on it? Like, what's going on there?
And then with the safety car, they ended up having to go into the pits. So obviously that was a big fuck up.
Oh, huge. And, being the amateur I am about it, and they zoomed in on that, I'm going, ooh, don't they just sweep that off the track? Now it's 5 minutes later. Everybody's in the pit. Everybody's going, what's going on? And that just, to me, Norris, that's just a period on the sentence for the whole season for McLaren.
Yeah, so what happened, though, is it was double. Obviously, they had waved yellow flags, double yellows, I believe, on the straightaway because of the mirror. And he tried to speed up, which is a big no-no.
Yeah, because he thought he'd have the advantage. Now, I just think that, which makes for an interesting thing because we've got the last race of the year, and it's freaking the race. It is the race now. Okay.
Well, a couple more things about Qatar, though. So I thought it was funny off the beginning of the race. Hulkenberg causing the Ocon Colapinto crash at the beginning of the race and basically getting off scot-free. Yes. I felt bad for Colapinto there. Even Ocon, his last race with Alpine, even though I'm not a big fan of him. Everyone hates Stroll. That's
that's
Albon complained about it. And then even Guan Yu Zhou was like, "What's this idiot in the Aston Martin doing?" I thought that was hilarious.
One thing about Hülkenberg, do you think it was a situational thing? Don't you think? It was unfortunate.
You have to have some track awareness.
Yeah, he was a little aggressive, but at the same time, what were the other 2 guys doing? They came right in there.
Well, no, they're at the edge of the track. They had nowhere else to go.
Exactly.
So
I thought they had brakes on these things.
Yeah.
Like when that went in there, it looked like nobody was really braking. Everybody was.
Well, the problem is he kind of like slid into them sideways.
Yes. And what did he get? A tire and changed, and he was on his way.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't end up finishing the race, which I'm not going to feel bad for that.
No.
Leclerc only 8 points back of Lando Norris for second in the drivers, and Ferrari just 21 points back of McLaren for first in the constructors. So it's all going to come back down to Abu Dhabi. I did not finish watching qualifying, but I'm very much looking forward to that race tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to the qualifying. The thing is about it, and we've been beating this horse all season. When we're talking halfway through the season, we were talking about the glories of Zach Brown and his McLaren team. Now they can't even figure out who their number 1 driver is. Like every week. Well, I thought it was Strani.
We don't have a number 1 driver.
Oh, yeah, we're a team. And then they do those weird shit that goes on. And like I said, we won't keep talking about it. But if you just accumulate the amount of points that they pissed off in at least 10 races, they should have been winning the constructors going away. It should have been over. So
and Lando should be a lot closer to Max.
Oh, that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't understand how they handled like the team driving situation.
Oh, it's stupidity.
Like, I don't like you want to have some kind of prestige. You want to move your guy up there, and you're using these guys almost against each other to figure out what you're going to do. So even though I was having fun with Zach Brown for most of the season, he's probably going to be one of my schmucks of the year when we talk about in our year-end look at what's going on in the world, because the guy pretty well,
screwed the pooch.
I'm saying that. And how much is that going to cost them if they blow the constructors now?
Oh, millions and millions of dollars.
That's what I'm saying.
Like tens of millions.
Like, I just wanted to point that out to our listeners. Like, this is a substantial amount of money that they have blown if Ferrari comes. And I still think Ferrari's going to do it.
Well, the problem is, though, Leclerc has a 10-place grid penalty. Don't we just spoil what happened in qualifying because something big happened?
No, don't.
Okay, I won't. But 10 plays grid penalty for Leclerc because they replaced the battery. Not completely out of it. We know Ferrari has the pace at this track.
Oh yeah, no, that's a gimme. That's a gimme. He's starting from 10th.
10 plays grid. So if he were to get pole, he'd start in 11th. Yeah.
That's a big advantage for McLaren.
It's going to be a big race. In other news, Perez canned from Red Bull. Looks like it's not official yet, but it looks like he will not have that seat back in 2025.
No.
Shocker of all shockers. Liam Lawson looks like the lead candidate. I don't know. And then they have a guy in F2 that I guess is going to take Lawson's seat at, keep wanting to call them AlphaTauri, whatever, Red Bull Junior there.
Yep.
They really don't want to give that seat to Tsunoda. Although he has been better lately.
Yeah, I thought so. One of the interesting things...
actually, one thing about Tsunoda I heard was interesting was that he is not good for car development. Like, his technical information, his technical feedback that he gives is not very good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think that's what might be one of the big things holding him back as well. Because the crashes have been toned way down this year, to his credit. And he's fast, but if you can't give the team good technical information, then...
Oh, well,
that's gonna...
I find that interesting when you hear the guys in the radio one time. They're saying like a.
Well, it's more so like after the race too, and
how the car feels, what they got, and all that information. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I hear sometimes like when I hear a couple of the drivers talk, it sounds like freaking algebra to me. Like, I mean, it's very interesting. Like they're talking to like the minutia of the car. Mm-hmm. This didn't work. I think we got to change this and that. I didn't know this battery change thing. I'm going to take a more interest in it. But one of the things that says that you. Inform me about one of the things I learned about F1 is your budget in handling your cars. What's the situation with Williams? 16 crashes this year, bro.
Well,
how many races?
Well, okay. Also, you had Liam Lawson there.
Whatever the case may be,
he was not.
When I heard
more
that
than half
number,
of them were him just pushing, and he's like, he just wasn't that good, unfortunately.
What's race? 20 races.
24
races, so that means
so two-thirds of the time, basically.
Races, they damage their car. That's insane. That's pure incompetence.
And I mean, Albon hasn't been great either this year, as far as good as he was last year.
Okay, but about 16 crashes, bro.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
Doesn't that affect some of the stuff that they're going to put money into next year?
I don't think they're going to take from next year because they know that this year they probably just viewed it as a wash, anyways.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
If they did take from next year, then that's fucking stupid. I can't believe that.
Well, being how far behind the pack they are. Let's might as well go back to
Exactly.
Let's go back to ground zero.
Yeah, I agree. In unfortunate news, Zandvoort, the Netherlands Grand Prix, will be off the calendar in 2026.
How come?
Just didn't renew the contract because we have a second Spanish race coming in. I wish they'd get rid of Barcelona. It's not the most exciting one. And we're getting a Madrid street circuit. I don't know how that's going to go, but either way.
Spain's been lobbying for years.
For a second race?
Yeah, I read that. They've been lobbying. Like, they must have some.
Well, they got it.
So they did some good lobbying.
Yeah.
To get it, you know what I'm saying? And I went, oh, okay.
Unfortunately, Zandvoort's out. I'd get rid of Mexico, too, if it were up to me.
Really?
I don't like that race. It's a street circuit. It's not that exciting.
Well, Mexico is still going to, the government's behind them.
Well, once Perez gets out, there's gonna be less pressure from them to kind of keep their support.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because why do you think Netherlands was on the calendar?
Point well taken. Yeah. Point well taken.
And last but not least, Cadillac names Graham Loden their team principal, who right now he's an F1 executive.
I'm looking forward to seeing what this crew's going to be bringing to the table.
We'll see.
What does it take? About 3 or 4 years before they're competitive?
Yeah, Red Bull took them like 5 years. Mercedes, it took them about 5 years.
And then you're in the race. Anyways, this the race today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm still betting on Ferrari.
Are you really? Yeah, I mean, I am too. My boys. Why would I bet?
Well, they're your boys. That's definitely it. I'll give you the benefit of a doubt on that. You wouldn't be cheering for anybody else, but should be interesting. Pay attention, people. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Speaking of fun, we'll move to MLB, where there was talk of a rule change this week, the golden at bat, where essentially you could take a batter and put him anywhere in the batting lineup. So if it was like 8th in the order, you're like, I want to put Vladdy to hit here. I think that's one of the goofiest rules. It looks like it's not going to happen.
Oh, Manfred came out. The backlash was too huge. Oh, the golden bat has been put on the bat burner.
Well, I think Manfred's getting a little bit of a bad rap here because he works for the owners, right? So if the owners want to explore this, you have to explore it.
Who brought it up in the room? I want to know the guy that brought it up at that moment.
Who's the Mets owner? I bet you it was him.
Okay, well, whoever brought it up, first of all, you got to bring that up. And the people around the table, there's probably a lot of intelligent people around that table. And they all what?
Are they all baseball intelligent, though?
Brown liquor intelligent? Like, come on. Like, wasn't there someone in that room that just went, are you kidding me? Because when the backlash came out about this, where's it going out? Manfred just had a release yesterday. Oh, we're kind of, that was just, we screwed up. Like, just the whole theory of that is so insane. This isn't beer league.
No.
We're not hitting for the girl. You know, come on. This is insane. Like, when I heard about it, I said, that just gets away from all the things they've already done.
I agree.
Which I think, like the speeding up the game, some of the things I'm not happy with. You know that. I got my old school beliefs, but I know how they're trying to move the game away so it becomes more national instead of niche. I get it. But when you bring up something like that, how do we give you credibility to your game? Who are the people in this room? You're idiots. I didn't hear one person out of any baseball acumen, whatever, had a good thing to say about this.
No, absolutely not. I mean, the McAfee show had a funnier idea where it's like, if you hit a home run, you get to go again. In a way, I think that's more baseball than the golden at bat.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious when they brought it up, right? Because they're not baseball guys.
Not really. There's a couple guys on the show there.
No, but I mean, McAfee just took the living piss out of it. I was falling off my couch laughing. Going, come on. And you know what? Everything was saying was true, though. When you think about it, the credibility of the game, the history of the game, the great analytics of the game, where would they go? Out the window.
Yeah. I mean, rule changes happen all the time, and we're fine. But either way, the golden at bat not happening. But the big deal, the Juan Soto talk keeps getting crazier and crazier. His contract apparently is going to be over $700 million. That's right, people. He's getting Shohei Ohtani money.
Is this Groundhog Day?
Let me check. No and yes.
Is Bill Murray around? Is somewhere, you know? That's why we love that movie, by the way. In any event,
well, it's directed by the great Harold Ramis as well. R.I.P.
Oh, rest in peace. I'm going to put it this way, because we don't want to spend a lot of time on this Soto thing, because we could beat it to death. So I'm just going to say this: we're talking Boros. We seen Boris. We seen what Soto said right after the World Series ended. What did he say?
Mere minutes after the World Series ended.
Minutes after the World Series, what did he say? Show me the money. We know the reputation. Now, two of the biggest insiders, including Jeff Passett, has said the Blue Jays have put the most money on the table. Okay? So what?
For now.
Groundhog Day, we heard this before. So I'm going to go with somebody who's not a great baseball guy who said something, and I agreed with him, and that was O-Dog said, what's going to happen here? Do you want to be in L.A.? Do you want to be in New York? Or you want to be
Toronto or Boston, yeah.
Okay, so what's your thing about a legacy is? So when it comes down to it, and Toronto offers him $700 million, and New York says, hey, we'll give you $650. What is it? Toronto paying a $50 million tax? Or they just jacked his contract like Ohtani? End of story. We know what's going on.
Well, also, I think Boston's going to step in. I'm getting really worried that I think Boston's going to step in and give him the highest offer. And it's going to be tough to turn down that money from the Red Sox.
Oh, I agree.
A chance to be the one to help rebuild that team, bring them back to their former glory.
I hope it doesn't happen.
I hope not either, but that's the worry I'm getting. I think it's going to come down to the Red Sox and the Mets.
Okay, so the word around the campfire, and I've heard it 27 times. Before Soto signs anything, come back to the Blue Jays. So what, are they going to go $800 million?
No way, not a chance.
Okay, so
not
what I'm saying, so why do they want the last kick at the can? So to improve the baseball experience at the Dome?
Hold on, they're not the only ones with the last that's going to want the last kick of the can. That's ridiculous. They may be putting it out there, but that doesn't mean they're going to be the only ones.
Groundhog Day. They're feeding the fans a bunch of bullshit.
Exactly.
What's plan B?
They better have a plan B this time.
Plan B is Corbin Burns,
Willie Adames,
and the reliever that's just got traded to San Diego, and he's now in the market. Tanner, what's his name? I want to see. Now I heard that the fire, they're pokers in the fire there, but I don't hear any massive rumors like Soto. So what is it? Is Toronto like the freaking pinata of all this? Come on, what's going on here? Until we see it's happening, I don't believe a thing. I think it's Groundhog Day. We went through this. Ohtani's on the plane.
Well, Atkins and Shapiro better not fuck this up, or else they're going to be pinatas here in the city.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So they had no plan.
People are going to take turns lining up with baseball bats at Rogers Center.
Well, that'll be a great baseball experience. So they get to swing a bat, don't they? Come on. My take on is this: you better do something else, because what you're telling us is you have the money. If you're going to
no shit, Rogers has money.
Then why don't you spend it wisely? Like, all you're doing is pulling our chains. We went through this already. Yeah. So what's going to happen when it's going to come out to Toronto offered him $600 million, and the Yankees come back and said, "You really want to go to Toronto? We'll give you $650 at $50 million at that time. Come on." And listen, Soto's no stranger to this. 3 years ago, he turned down $440 when that would have been the
from
biggest.
Washington.
Yeah, he changed, but I heard it was deferred money. That's got the contract the way Washington sets up their contract.
And Washington was also on the downward trajectory.
Okay, so in any event, he already turned down $440. So where are we at?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be afraid to turn down $600 from someone.
Obviously, and who's the schmuck that he's got doing the negotiations? Oh, yeah, that guy.
Our buddy.
You know what I mean? In any event, Blue Jays, if you don't sign Soto, c'est la vie. Well, you better do something right after that, because here at the House That Happens, we'll be the first guy screaming at you, because we're sick of it. Our biggest fear last year, can we have some August games? We didn't get July games. Come on.
Barely.
Come on. And I don't want to hear about improvement from within, even though I love my 3% more, please.
Yeah. You're talking on both sides of your mouth there.
That's right. So I got to curb all of that. So I'm not going to say anything about that big of an internal thing. And I don't want to hear about the baseball experience, because beer costs too much money.
At least it's not L.A. I don't know if you saw the beer at a Dodgers game next year is going to be $35. American. I thought we were getting fleeced at the Dome. I'm not going to complain about beer prices in the city anymore.
No, I'm going to go to my corner store and buy $2 Lowenbrows and watch it on my screen.
There you go.
I'm good.
A couple other signings that happened. Arnoldus Chapman signed a 1-year deal, $10.75 million with the Red Sox. I don't think that's a bad deal. I think... obviously,
they needed to bolster their bullpen.
His best days are behind him, but I think there's a chance, not this year, but the year before, he actually had a really good season, so he can bounce back.
Is this the Kimbrel experiment part 2?
Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking it is, because they need to bolster their bullpen.
Yeah.
That was one of their issues. And the other big signing that caught us off guard.
Luis Severino to the A's.
Whoa.
3-year deal, $67 million, fresh out of Oakland, and they're already throwing money at people. Sad to see.
Well, because where are they going?
Well, Sacramento for the next 2 years. So majority of that contract is in Sacramento.
Doesn't matter. The people behind
Vegas.
Yeah, end of story.
The town that doesn't want them.
Yeah, but they don't care. It's going to be money. It's another attraction to Vegas, that's all. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think that team could... Don't be surprised if they move again in 20 years.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised either. I think the whole thing would die in Vegas because, like,
They don't want them. The people there don't want them.
Not only that, where are the Raiders playing?
Vegas.
Okay, so
I hear they're not too crazy about them being there either.
I'm just gonna say, when you got an NFL team there and you're not jumping up and down, but for some reason, and we'll get that later, the Golden Knights seem to be the darlings.
That was more organic the way how they got that team, though, right?
Exactly. But they seem to be still the I guess it's their success. They already brought a ring home. But
they're entrenched in that city. They're ingrained. I think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They've really. I mean, they're in the desert, and the darlings of their city is a ice hockey team. Wow, that's kind of neat to me.
Yeah, Gary Bettman must be having a hard on.
Oh, 100%. Do you realize, though, when I was your age, if someone talked about putting a team in Vegas from any sport, do you know what they would tell you?
Oh, no way.
Jump off a bridge. You got a better chance of winning a lottery. Because, that's how much it's just changed in my lifetime. Like, Vega was persona non grata. There'll never be a team in Vegas. There'll never be this. There'll never be that. Oh, by the way, it'll be a matter of time before they have a major sports team from the Big Four.
And soon they'll have all four from the Big Four, you'd think.
That's coming.
And maybe a soccer team, too, eventually.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be there, too. It's all part of the Vegas, what is it, acumen?
Sure.
Experience, whatever.
But moving it away from baseball into the world of professional women's hockey, the PWHL opened the season last weekend. Toronto won their home opener, their season opener as well, 3-1 against the Bostons. Hannah Miller scored the winner with 18:22 at 18:22 in the third period. So nice last-minute goal to get that one. They unfortunately lost their next game 3-2 at Ottawa, and they are back in action against the Minnesota Frost today at home.
Okay, full disclosure on my part. I'm going to take more time to find out because the games are on TV.
And they stream them live on YouTube as well.
Okay, so I'm going to take more because we're Toronto-centric. I'm going to actually say by the next few shows who the players are on the team and what I think about them, like when I talk about the NHL, because I really haven't given the PWHL maybe the respect it should be getting. I'm very happy for them that they're that it's moving along in this way. They got names, they're changing uniforms, blah blah blah. But what I'm worried about is we just talked about in the WNBA situation, is it takes a number of years before you get the big splash in the beginning.
Sure.
Everybody's happy. It's all opening. You're the fresh bride. Whatever. I heard some people talking about where they're going to go with the crowd, possibly in the next 18 months. And my first reaction was, can you guys walk before you run? Like, we have moved up. Like, we're not going to, I think that we discussed this off camera. I don't think there's going to be 10 Toronto PWHL games at Scotiabank. Now, they're going to have a special promotion. The corporation will get behind it. It'll be one there. I think they should be happy that they moved into the residence where they're at.
Yeah,
they got a solid fan base. They're going to there. They might get $6,000 a night. If you get $6,000 a night in a professional women's hockey league, and this
which is basically like that's a sellout at Coca-Cola, isn't it?
Something like that. I think it's like 65. So if you can stay there, why don't you pull that fan base up to there? Keep it steady and go on. Don't tell me you're going to be playing. This is our projection. What are they doing in Minnesota? What's going on in Boston? What's going on in Ottawa? You know what I'm saying?
Ottawa games are doing well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not doing bad. But I'm just saying, don't reach beyond. Don't tell me you're going to get there in a couple of years. You're saying you're having financial troubles. Let's keep it here. We're going to report on them. We're going to support it.
I think the Canadian teams are actually in great position. It's the American teams I'm worrying about right now.
Yes.
But a lot of that has to do with just arena situations. Because it's a lot back and forth with you. Like, I know Minnesota is a steady home. I think they're going to eventually be okay. Minnesota's a big hockey state. But Boston and New York, those two, from what I understand, it's a lot of movement. It's not really...
Nothing consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I'm talking about. You got to develop consistency from the ground level in your infrastructure, or what's going to happen is you're going to have cracks in the cement, and all of a sudden franchises are getting weak, and nobody's even playing in 6,500 seaters anymore. So my perspective is I'm going to yell about the Toronto team as much as I can. Hope it's exciting. Hopefully we got a high level of competition, but we're not worried about you playing at the Sphere. We're very happy with you at the Coca-Cola there, and I'm even going to go down to a game.
I would love to go down to. We still got to hit up Brampton Steelheads as well.
Yes, that's a New Year thing.
Yeah. Anyways,
good luck to the PWHL.
Best of luck to our ladies.
And we're gonna.
PWHL.
I'm gonna give you numbers. I'm gonna give you save percentages. I'm gonna give you a home and away because we got to give the girls a big shout out if they're going to get forward.
Absolutely. We'll move this to our European soccer report where Man City, they dropped another match to Liverpool, but They lost that one 2-0, I should say, at Liverpool. But they bounced back 3-0 versus Nottingham Forest, ending an 0-6-1 winless streak.
You know what thing? And they're my boys.
But they're back with another draw. They just drew at Crystal Palace 2-2 today.
Okay, I was just going to say. Not only that, when we're talking about Champions League, which I'm getting to understand, I thought that they'd be one of the freaking horses in the Champions League.
Well, we'll get to Champions League later because there's no Champions League this week.
No, but I'm looking at where it's going to go because they start next week, right? The games?
The last round before the
Christmas
New Year.
is next week, right?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, continue.
Chelsea beat Aston Villa 3-0 at home, and then they beat Southampton 5-1 on the road. Everton with a big 4-0 win versus Wolverhampton to help get them out of the basement. I mentioned Liverpool's win against Man City. Also, they got a 3-3 draw at Newcastle. Arsenal won 2-0 at Manchester United. Liverpool now with a 7-point, at least coming in today, a commanding 7-point lead over Chelsea, over Arsenal. Some big games this weekend. Although Everton-Liverpool, the Merseyside Derby, got postponed today.
Weather-wise?
Yes, because of weather.
Yeah, I heard about that. Something about the weather. Is Arsenal making a run? Are the Gunners coming?
They're at Fulham tomorrow. That's gonna be a tough matchup. And then Chelsea is in Tottenham, so
that should be a big game.
Yeah, exactly. Should affect the top of the table.
Yep.
And then where's Liverpool?
Liverpool is on.
Oh, their game got delayed. Excuse me. That's right. Into the world.
Biggest surprise of the year seems to be Liverpool.
I disagree with that, considering some of the other teams near the top in England. Like Brentford, Brighton, Fulham, Aston Villa, all near the top. I think those are bigger surprises.
Really?
Yeah.
Because some of the other traditional rivals have fallen off the cliff.
Well, Manchester United, ever since, what's his name, buddy there? I think he's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers owner too, isn't he?
Yeah.
That they've been not good ever since he's taken over the team. Tottenham just is the eternal middle child, I guess, the eternal middle team in the league.
Oh, gee.
But Liverpool,
say that. Aren't you a middle child?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, good. So your sister's a middle child.
She's the middle child.
God bless her. Between two boys, she must be strong.
Well, she got all the attention being the only girl, so she's fine.
Okay.
In Serie A, Fiorentina Inter was suspended at the 17th minute as Eduardo Bove collapsed on the field. So we're going to hope that he's okay.
That was a very sad experience.
Yeah.
Anytime you get in sports and something like that happens, they just stop the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. I agree. Milan beat Empoli 3-0. Napoli won 1-0 at Torino. Juve got a 1-1 draw at Lecce, and Atalanta won at Roma 2-0. Napoli coming in today led with 32 points. Atalanta second with 31. Then Inter, Fiorentina, and Lazio trailing with 28 points behind them. Yesterday, AC Milan lost 2-1 to Atalanta. Inter won 3-1 at Parma. And that is the only. And then Napoli will play Lazio on Monday.
That league's tightening up,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's tightening up.
It is very tight.
I took a look at that and said, okay.
Atalanta is actually temporarily in first place right now. Depends on Napoli, but right now they have a 2-point lead. This one's going to be very, very tight all the way to the end, I predict.
I like that, though.
Absolutely.
I like that.
In La Liga, Barcelona lost at Las Palmas 2-1, but then they bounced back at Mallorca with a 5-1 victory.
Because they were pissed of losing the other game, man. They were pissed.
And then Real Madrid does the opposite. They won versus Getafe 2-0, and then they lose at Athletic Club 2-1. And then Barcelona just got a draw today, 2-2 at Real Betis, and Real Madrid is in action at Girona. That's at 3 o'clock. You look at the table. Barcelona still with only a 5-point lead, but Real Madrid 2 games in hand on them.
That should be interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm still saying Barcelona. I think they're one of the best teams in the world. Best club teams in the world.
I mean, Madrid's got money on money, so and summer or winter transfer windows coming up too. So in January, teams are going to make some moves.
True. And you know what? That's $1 million moves, aren't they?
Oh, millions on millions.
Yeah.
In the Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen won at Union Berlin 2-1. Bayern got a 1-1 draw at Dortmund. And RP Leipzig, another loss for them, losing 5-1 at Wolfsburg. Eintracht Frankfurt, the second-place team, won at Heidenheim 4-0. And coming in today, Bayern had a 4-point lead over Frankfurt for first. So
another tight league. They haven't played as many games, though, yet, have they?
They just straight up don't play as many games.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, because it's a smaller league. In the world of Ligue 1 in France, PSG draw versus Nantes 1-1. Marseille won 2-1 at Monaco. And coming in today, PSG had a 7-point lead over Marseille. And I should mention as well, our boy Jonathan David had two goals in a 3-1 Lille win yesterday.
And the Canadian teams moved up to their highest ranking in
Yeah, we
years.
talked about that last week. Yeah,
that's good.
And Jonathan David actually leads Ligue 1 in goals right now with 11.
I like that.
I love that.
I like that.
And as you mentioned before, it is a Champions League week, so Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of the big matchups of the week, we got Bayer Leverkusen versus Inter, Atalanta versus Real Madrid. That's a big one.
Huge.
Arsenal, Monaco, Juventus,
Huge.
Manchester City.
Wow, that should be good.
And Borussia Dortmund, Barcelona.
How much beer is going to go down in that game?
Oh, all the beer.
I can just
all
imagine.
the beer.
Okay, can you explain something to me now? Because I still haven't looked at it all.
Okay.
So we have, what is it, 32, 30 whatever teams in Champions League, right?
36.
36. So what's going to happen? The first leg is you take out.
So top 8 get a bye to the round of 16.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
And then the next 16 are in a play-in.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Just wanted to make sure because some of the teams that are in the play-in, I've usually looked at them as the teams that are supposed to be the powerhouses, I thought. And I'm looking at
Manchester City's, the Juventuses.
Yes. They're all down. PSG. They're all the teams.
PSG and Real Madrid might not make it. They're in real danger.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So someone is an amateur all about this and looking at it, knowing the traditions of the game. And I'm looking at the top. Liverpool.
Yep.
Arsenal is up there, which I thought the other teams from the English Premier League would be farther
Inter's
ahead.
up there.
Inter's up there. And Barcelona.
Yep.
So it should be interesting. You know what I mean? I don't know what this Dartmouth team is all about. Dartmouth, man.
Borussia Dortmund?
Yeah,
they're one of the big German squads.
Yeah, I know they're German, but they're like, are they traditionally one of them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was doing a little look at them, because when I was looking at the top 10, they're one of the teams that I went, oh, gee, where did they come from? Now, I know why Monaco could get there, because money on money. Because sometimes these teams are riding on big money. Hence the reason I don't understand why Man U is so far down and PSG is so far down. I don't get it. But
well, PSG's never had.
You keep telling me that, and you told me before, and I keep watching them, and they seem to be going towards your prognostications, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I've watched a soccer match or two before.
I think you have. But it should be some good games this week.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So what happens when you're like the young boys in those teams? When the next champions come around, you don't get a chance, or you got to win where you're at to get back in again?
Well, if you win Champions League or even Europa League, you get an automatic bid. You get an automatic spot in Champions League for next year, right?
If you're top 8?
No, if you win.
Oh,
if you win the whole thing.
Oh, that's...
But then it goes down to your country after that. Okay. So each country has like a certain amount of spots.
Oh, yeah,
so England has 4, Italy has 4.
Yeah. Germany has 4.
Germany, do they have 4 or do
No,
they
I
have
think
3?
they have 3 because they're smaller league. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Things I learned.
And then if you win Champions League, basically like it pushes down a spot. So like let's say like an Inter wins Champions League, then it would basically push down a spot. So like the 5th place team would get in as well, because Inter, they don't get an Italian spot. They get the Champions League winner spot. You got
Got you. Okay, things I learned.
And also, Christian Pulisic, the star for Milan, he's going to have an MRI on his calf, suffered in the loss for Atalanta yesterday. So could be facing weeks out, and he's a huge playmaker for that team, the American star. Yeah,
they were talking about that ever, and the Americans are complaining because it might affect them when they have their internationals.
Boo-hoo.
I'm not.
I'm sad for Milan. I'm not sad for the States.
Okay, that's what I was just going to get at. We don't cry about Uncle Sam.
We do not.
No, that's something we don't do.
Speaking of Uncle Sam, we'll move this back to the United States of America, to the NBA, where the top 8 for your favorite NBA Cup are now determined. It will be Bucks Magic, Knicks Hawks, Thunder Mavericks, and Rockets Warriors, all in the quarterfinals. NBA Cup is actually Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And both of our picks for NBA Cup this year, the Suns and the Grizzlies, are now out.
Okay, I got you there. Now, is this just a shiny bauble? What's going on with this? Okay, here's the weird thing about this cup. I don't know how they scheduled the games, because you see the floor and you go, oh, yeah, this game matters. Then the score goes by, oh, yeah, that meant something. Because what the weird thing is like, Cleveland, are they in on this? No.
No.
Is Celtics in on this?
No.
Okay, so how did that happen? Cleveland's only lost one game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, same with Boston. Didn't they only lose one group stage game?
Yeah, but I think it was because the Hawks went crazy and the Magic went crazy on their games, which pushed them out. Because I think they were pretty well undefeated, or 3-0 and 3-1.
Sure.
And that point differential, which I thought would have been in Boston's favor, didn't work that way. But I just find it odd that the two best teams in the league, they're not even in the cup because of the scheduling when they played, whatever, what have you. Like, I mean, Cleveland's still, 15-1?
I think they dropped another game, but
I'm not sure. But any event,
they're 20-3.
Okay, in any event, that's one of the best records in the league, and they get no shot at this.
The
cup.
best record in the league.
So what value is this cup except for to distract us from the fact that the ratings are down, they shoot too many threes, everybody's yelling at the refs, and the games get sloppy as fuck.
I don't mind having an interim champion like this.
I don't know. I'm going to watch the games. I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm
there you
a
go
fan.
then.
So I'm a sucker or I'm a hypocrite. I don't know. But what it reveals to me is it's just a way for them to market the games because the ratings are down. And some of the games are horrible.
This was made up before the ratings were down, though.
Okay, so this is supposed to be the one now. You watch. When they get to Vegas, those games numbers are going to go up.
Obviously.
It's
the Final Four was great last year.
There you go. So what I'm saying is that we're all going to be bitching about the way it comes about in the last couple games, semifinals. I'll be glued to the TV saying what's going to go on. Not that it matters because we get to the end of January and we're going to forget who in the hell it is.
No, last year everyone remembered the Lakers won.
Because they shoved it down our throats. It was the Lakers. Thank you, ESPN.
And people knew that the Pacers lost in the final.
That's true, too.
It's becoming memorable. You can't argue with that.
I'm going to try to get it out of my hard drive as quick as I can. I just think the games are going to be interesting because I think the teams that came back is like the Mavericks were having so much trouble at the beginning of the year. They seemed to found some chemistry.
Yes.
And suddenly the best game of the first round could be either the Thunder and the Mavericks or the Bucks and the Magic, because the Magic have played very well, and they've played.
But they're not without Paolo, and they're playing on the road. So
exactly.
I would go advantage Milwaukee there.
There you go. Milwaukee had a great run. They had a great game against the Celtics last night.
And Giannis is becoming a playmaker.
Giannis is just going, I'm tired of the criticism, I think, because they're calling him the coach killer.
Yeah.
The chemistry on the team, but somehow him and Lillard have found a chemistry with their side guys. Middleton has come back.
Yep.
Great game last night. Boston pulled it out again, shooting frickin' threes in 18 seconds on the clock. Just drives me absolutely crazy. It's a theory I'm going to tell you guys one more time. Watch the game. Works like this. The game's a battle. All of a sudden, the team scores a quick three. They go up by 4. But it's a dogfight. So they run down the floor. And what's the first thing the guy do? He clangs the floor. The other guy gets a transition basket. Oh, gee, guess what? They're up by 6. The other team goes down. They said, well, we're going to try to get one back real quick. Clang another
we've
three.
talked about this.
Exactly. So I'm saying, when is this going to change? It doesn't. Like, you get a good game and 6 shitty games. So I'm just saying, well, we're going to have to go through the regular season, get conned by the Golden Cup, and then say, oh, it's been great. The NBA's amazing. Come on, hockey's been better. That's just all there is to it. But that's
that's neither here nor there.
I'm just saying that I'm still skeptical about the Cup, and I think so much has changed how they schedule these games and how they did it. I'm curious to find out. I know you got to play a certain team at a certain time, but I don't understand the scheduling. Hence the reason Cleveland's not in. You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't win enough group stage games.
That's what I'm saying.
They
But when were those at the time? Like the one of the group ones they lost is their first loss of the season against Boston.
Too bad, so sad.
That's what I'm saying. So the thing is a little bit weird to me, but hey, we're going to get the end results. And
like we've talked about before, the format's not perfect.
No, but they're going to get there. And like I said, it draws eyes to the TV because they need something to keep the interest there. All the narratives are getting weird around the NBA, if you've noticed. Okay.
So let's do a little prediction time. So Bucks Magic, we're both on the Bucks.
Yep.
Knicks Hawks, both on the Knicks.
Yep.
Thunder Mavericks, I'm going to go Dallas, even though it's in OKC. Dallas has been looking good lately, and Thunder without Holmgren, I think, could be the X factor.
It could be, though, even though, what's his name? The greatest move that Oklahoma made was getting, what's his name, Hartenstein or whatever, from the Knicks in that trade. Mm-hmm. Because he's been playing better basketball because he was supposed to be the backup to Holmgren. So they'd have that double front man. And he's been holding it down for them. So it should be an interesting game. But the chemistry on Dallas has come around. You know what I mean? I would say that game's going to be a tie.
And then Rockets Warriors.
This is the most interesting game of the 4.
Golden State's fallen apart, though, or at least they've been on a really bad stretch. So I'm going to go Houston.
I think so, too, because Houston's got the young guns and our boy Fred VanVleet. I mean, he's not an MVP candidate because you don't put him there, but you see him how he runs this Houston team? They're serious. They're a serious team, and if they make it to the finals, I will not be surprised.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm
Although
saying?
I think could be Dallas, the way they're going.
And Dallas is coming, too. I'm just saying, like, the way they started, and they've only played, what is it? They've only played, what? Have they played 25 games yet?
Close.
Okay.
A lot of teams are at like 23.
23, 20.
So we're approaching the third mark of the season.
There you go. So if we're going to look around the league after we get the cups over, my serious belief of the Eastern Conference, the top 6 teams, they're going to stay there. I don't see any change in those top 6 teams.
Even Atlanta?
What's that?
Even Atlanta.
I think Atlanta's going to stay there because they're playing some defense.
They won 6 in a row, to their credit.
Exactly, and I thought they were a messy team, but I seen their last couple of games. I hate Trae Young. Shave your beard, buddy. You're going bald one day anyway. I guess what you're going to grow a beard. Just don't like the guy. And the thing about them is they're the only team in the top 6 which has a minus in their point differential.
Yeah.
So that always plays out in the long run. They got to get that going a little bit better. But then if you look at the next teams in the conference after that, none of them have a positive point differential. And we're talking about Indiana. We're talking about Miami. Oh, Miami does have a bit of a plus, but not by much. Okay, so
better than Milwaukee, who's ahead of them.
Yes, but Milwaukee had a lot of those blowouts early. Now they're balancing their schedule. Let's see where they're going to be at in another 10
Well, let's see
games.
if Atlanta's like that, though, too.
It's going to be interesting. I'm surprised at the way they play. They play some good ball. They know how to go inside. But what leaves us to this to do is, like, who's going to be in the play-in? Suddenly Philadelphia has won a couple of games. Are they going to scratch their way all back to the play-in? It's a realistic possibility. But the funny part about it all is, when you look at it, our beloved Toronto Raptors are basically only 2 games in the loss column from the play-in.
And they're 5-5 in their last 10.
They haven't had their 5 regulars play 1 game all year. When we bring Emmanuel quickly back, now, are we ready for prime time? No. Look what happened against OKC.
Yeah, got smoked by almost 40 points.
Shea was in town, had the whole family in the house.
Yeah,
boys,
there you go.
We're running this one up because we're going to the club after, exclusive in Toronto.
King Street, baby.
Thank you very much. So you knew what was going on there. And you see Shea's fashion statement and stuff?
No.
The guy's cooler than cool. Ripped to shreds. He looks like a small guy, right? When he takes off that shirt, he's just a ripped and a great, great player. I think he needs a little bit more support on the inside, because sometimes people bang on them, but Memphis is,
come on, he went out for 30.
an easy 30, but OKC's a tough out.
Yeah, 30 points in 29 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, I sat around waving to the crowd, talking to people. It was a great night for him.
Blowing kisses, you know.
Yeah, and probably had a couple of beers behind the thing, like, this one's over, let's get to the club. You know what I mean?
I know, he doesn't strike me as a beer guy, maybe like a gin and tonic dude.
I was thinking more of, what's that one that Jay-Z always drank? Cristal.
Oh,
they're all Cristal guys. You know what I mean? I don't know. Young guys doing their thing. But I think OKC is like, before we get to the West real quick, like I said, I think those 6 teams are going to stay, and it's going to be a dogfight. And I think that the Toronto Raptors, with their lineup the way that it is, Snead has been the dog that I thought he'd be coming from Houston. That guy with the funny name was a great trade, Abaji, whatever. How do you say his name? Agajibi. I never say their names right. Another dog who plays mad defense. And the rookie they got, their 19-year-old.
Agbaji.
How do you say his name?
Agbaji.
Great pickup. He's a dog out there. And our kid, Walter, who's not even 20 years old. He's
the rookie.
He's scrapping like 10 men. So what more can we ask for? We're a tough out.
That's all you can ask for.
And not only that, it'll make the games interesting, so we'll be able to follow them, just because, what are they going to do? If they're going to get in, they're going to get their ass kicked. But I would rather have us be competitive for the rest of the year, so I want to tune into the games.
Get some home playoff games in there. Come on.
That would be more insane. Like when they beat Indiana, came in the other night, I said, we're going to beat these guys. And we did. We let them get back a little bit of time, but I said, we're going to beat Indiana in our house.
Still won.
And Scotiabank is considered one of the home court advantage.
Best home courts,
Yeah, in the league. We know that. But then when you got a serious team that come into our house 2 nights later, oh, well, we're not ready for prime time. But the thing is, Milwaukee's righted their ship, and I think New York's got their chemistry together. So in the end, I think it's going to be those 4 near the top.
You can almost skip ahead to the conference finals in NBA where the Boston's going to be there. The only other question is who else is going to be the other team. Is it going to be Cleveland, Orlando, or New York? Maybe even Milwaukee.
Well, the way they're playing, they're coming on, and Giannis playing, the Greek Freak's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, so those top 6 teams, they're all at least 7-3 in their last 10.
There you go.
New York's 8-2, Boston's 9-1.
Thank you. Boston's going to win it again. They got no reason, unless they kick themselves in
or
the head.
like an injury or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, knock on wood, but.
Well, when we get to the Western Conference, I say all bets are off. All bets are off. Like this, like if you could move half these teams into the East, and they'd be in the top 4.
Well, 5th to 12 are only separated by 3 games.
Exactly. And just think of some of these teams haven't been on full cylinders. Like Memphis Grizzlies are just getting all their shit together. Dallas is just getting their shit together. The Clippers, I don't think, are going to stay there because they can't keep a steady lineup. The same with Phoenix. Durant's hurt again.
I think the Clippers at least make the play-in, though. I stand by that take.
I think they will, too.
Because you had them outside looking in at the beginning of the season.
I'm changing. You know what? James Harden, for all of his whatever, that guy's a solid player. He keeps them in every game. He's still distributing. He's still shooting. Norm Powell being hurt for them has hurt a lot. You know what I mean? Because he's a guy on both ends of the floor, so they don't have the defensive stopper late in the game. And you noticed it the other night. He played one game, they won. He was out the next game, they lost. So I hated him leaving Toronto when he did. I'm really a big Norm Powell guy. But when you look around at it, look at the Minnesota Timberwolves are only 12-10. The Denver
and they won their last 4, though.
Okay, so they were under 500. And Ant-Man's been talking about the chemistry in the room, which isn't good. So maybe that was a good thing because they won that.
I told you, man, Julius Randle, they're going to use him as a trade piece.
Could be interesting, but then that's what they're going to do inside. They really need him right now.
They're going to train for another big man.
I don't know who.
Well, I guess Giannis is off the table now. But
I think so, too. But then you also got the Nuggets, who are 11-9. They should be a better team. They're still going, and they look up and down every damn night.
And every worry I basically had about Westbrook joining this team has basically come true.
But his defense is there. It's like he throws up bad shots.
That's my problem. That's always been my problem with him. Going back to OKC, I'm like, you throw up the worst shots.
At the worst time.
It's like, jump on, boys. Clank.
And I love Westbrook.
That's why I can't be a big fan of his.
His defense has been great.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing that, but with the ball, like his brain shuts off.
Oh, I don't know sometimes what he's. But you know what I like?
He was like locked on triple doubles for a long time. It's like, oh, buddy, like how about winning the games?
I think what he's done though is he drives to the net more and opens it up a bit more for the Joker, even though he's missing layups this year, which I don't understand. But that's what I'm saying about Denver. They're solid there. You know what I mean? And the Suns. I don't know what's going on with the Suns. They can't keep their big 3 in the lineup for how many games?
That's their big issue.
Right there, and they can't seem
to Durant's hurt again.
Exactly.
He's going to get reevaluated this week, I believe, right?
He'll be gone 10 days at least, they're saying. At least 10 days ago.
Well, we won't know until, like, because when it happened, they were like, he's going to be reevaluated in a week, so that's going to be in the coming days. We'll know how bad it is.
I hope he's back.
I hope so, too. I'm a Durant guy, and so are you.
Yes, no doubt about it. And then we've also got our beloved Lakers, who get way too much time, who are now showing that they don't have a lot of depth. And LeBron James can't play 82 games. He's running out of gas.
Well, he's going to try and play 82 games.
It's nuts. You see the other night against Atlanta? It was a great game. They had it to the end. The last 3 minutes, Atlanta looked like the fresher team. Trey hits the 3 in overtime.
Well, we knew coming into the season that the Lakers had a depth issue.
100%.
Yeah.
And you got those guys playing 35 minutes a night, Anthony Davis and LeBron. People, what you got to understand here is we're getting a changing in the guard. Why is Durant getting hurt? Why is it like LeBron looks like a little beat up at time? It's called father time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? These guys aren't going to be here forever, and the young guns are coming. Like the Jaws, the Sheas, the Ant-Mans, and they all got solid teams behind them. And we're
the guys like Luka and Tatum and Jokic, they've basically taken over the league.
Exactly, and then we're still going to be pointing at the Durants, the LeBrons. Open the door, the new kids are coming.
Although Giannis is still...
Giannis
is king.
I would still say right now, I don't think...
Him and Jokic, between them two for the best player in basketball right now?
Right now, and Giannis in the last 10 games looks like the best player in the world. A guy's on a mission.
Which he should be.
And not only that, the thing about Giannis is he can handle the ball, and he's a big boy. So when he's coming down the track and you're in the paint, shit could happen.
In 2 of the last 6 games, he's had a triple-double.
Exactly. And not only that, though, he gets those rep charges too much. Because he's so big,
Wow.
so a little guy steps in front of him. The guy does 2.5 and a flip, and next thing you know, it's offensive foul. Like, I don't get that in the NBA. Some of the refereeing I'll never get. You know what I mean? And I'm glad they got challenges and shit, but let's not. And they got Dame.
Yep.
Remember at the beginning of the year, I thought that Dame might have lost his step?
Sure, because of last year.
I'm retracting that. He's looking really good. Now, I'm still saying this. Dame sometimes puts up shots at the wrong time, too.
Sure.
You know, because he thinks he's pure from three. He's not. You know?
Yeah, maybe not as much as he used to be.
No, definitely not. But I'm still saying Milwaukee, compared to a month ago, talking about Doc Rivers going back to broadcasting. And now look what's happening. They've turned it around. I don't think that Milwaukee's ever been the same because nobody ever talks about it in all sports. It's true. And we'll get to that, especially when we get to hockey, is there's certain type of player you need on your team. Remember when Milwaukee won the championship? They had True Holiday and Grayson Allen. I hate Grayson Allen. Everything about the guy. I don't even like the way he smiles. Okay, but he's one of the reasons now Phoenix is competitive.
Yep.
Because they took him. You need a guy. You need a True Holiday. Last night.
And Boston stole Drew Holiday.
Exactly, and they got rid of Marcus Smart, who I thought was okay, but how smart was Marcus Smart? The great game against Dallas the other night, have you seen the game? Marcus Smart made 3 mistakes in a row with Memphis up by 3, and suddenly they were down by 4 with 45 seconds left. At 90 seconds, or no, what was it? Just over 2 minutes, they were up by 4. 43 seconds left, they were down by 4. Marcus Smart stepping at his signs, fouling the guy in the 3-point line, then another turnover. 3 possessions in a row, game over.
I think Memphis is going to be a good team. I don't know.
I do too.
I don't know if they're going to be in the conference finals though. When all said and
so
done.
when you look at that, who's going to be in the conference finals? So you're looking at OKC and Dallas. Is that what's getting your attention?
They would be the front runners. A week ago I was saying Golden State, but all of a sudden now they're 1-6 in their last
depth.
7.
They don't have enough depth, but they're going to be a tough out.
Sure,
they're going to be a tough out, and they're finally Klay Thomas is finding his place. Thompson. He's finding his place on Dallas. He's figuring out his spot. Like you're the third option, buddy. Play like a third option, and you're going to be just fine. I think Memphis could be there if they get everybody back healthy. They're strong, banging. They don't take no shit from nobody. And I like the fact that John Morant's saying he's not going to be trying to do all the crazy dunks he does, because you know why? Ends up on the floor getting banged. And you can't afford to be injured. You know what I mean? Do you notice that the thing about those big stars like Zion and LaMelo and Ja and even Ant-Man a bit, they get banged around because they play so recklessly? Do you notice that Shea plays with a little bit more control?
Oh, sure.
And he's smoother, so he doesn't put himself in a position where guys are taking his head off or he's getting crashed in there. He does that little pull-up or he goes right around you.
Do you think, or how much do you think the Clippers regret trading him for Paul George?
Oh, come on. And a draft choice.
A lot of draft choices.
Okay, and Shea, but what was Shea then? He was a skinny kid.
Still, he was a top 10 pick. Everyone knew he had potential.
Exactly. I thought they let him go a little bit easier. That was a steal for OKC. Great management. They still got a bag load of first-round choices that use at the trade deadline to go around. The big question is this. Would any of the big players move at the trade deadline in the NBA? Is there a possibility? Like, could Giannis move or a LeBron move?
Not those guys, no.
Okay, so now you're there and you're out of the playoffs. What are you going to do?
I mean LeBron, you're going for like depth pieces.
Okay, so
like a couple bench guys.
I still say that we're a little bit away from that, okay? But look at the Lakers, 3-7 in their last 10. They were the darlings after the first 15 games. Okay.
Them and a bunch of other teams like battling for that last play-in spot. Like them and Sacramento, I know they won their last game, but they're 3-7. Spurs are 5-5, but they lost their last 3. And
they don't have Wemby back yet.
No.
So that they're going to be there. Sacramento.
I think if Wemby's healthy, I think they could sneak in.
I think they could get to the plan, which means the team that they could push out is the Lakers, because they're not moving out Minnesota, they're not moving out Denver, they're not moving out Phoenix.
No.
I just don't know what order those teams are going to end up with injuries and the schedule and all that stuff there.
I think Phoenix is probably going to leapfrog like the Clippers or someone for that, or maybe in Golden State, who knows, for that number 6 seed.
If they're healthy.
I think they find a way.
If they're healthy. They're a scrappy team. They're well coached. What more do you going to want? So I'm just saying now, but that order, okay, we're going to have, I don't know, can Houston sustain what they're doing? Now, in the preseason, I was all over Houston.
Houston's got the depth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they're young, and they got Fred VanVleet. He's a floor leader.
And Udoka.
And Udoka is a great coach, and they got all those kids like Jabari Smith and Jalen Green, and they're all scrappy and they play defense and they're going to go. So I think they're going to be there. But what order this in, we'll just monitor it for the rest of the year because it's going to be this time next week. We're going to be saying something different. That's just the way it is.
Then a week from that, something different.
They got it. Not the East. The East will probably go on status quo, but in the West,
yeah.
And you know what? The NBA must absolutely love this because
of course.
Because what's going to happen is we may not be paying much attention now. But once we get past the new year and teams start jockeying.
And football's over.
End of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Should make it interesting.
Also, we should note that the Washington Wizards are now losers of their last 16 games.
They should become the Washington Generals. Like, it's sad for that franchise, eh? And all the permeations that they've tried to pull and draft choices they've given up and money they've thrown around. What are they?
Oh, like all the money at Bradley Beal and John Wall.
It's been a disaster. And at the time,
Porzingis was there for a hot second. How'd that go? Now they have like Kuzma and oh my God, what's his name? Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole doesn't.
Like it's a bunch of like number 3 options or number 4 options that they have.
Jordan Poole doesn't even look like he's trying some nights. I think he's going to be a piece at the trade deadline.
Could be a good pickup.
Definitely for a team that just needs that one extra guy because he can play, but you have to be motivated.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
And also a shout out to Paul Millsap, who announced his retirement.
Yes.
Very good power forward for the last, 15 years.
Yes, it is. God bless him. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but I want him on my team.
Yeah, Hall of very good.
As we were talking about with the Grayson Allens and the True Holidays, he was one of those type of pieces that you could click in, played great defense.
Yeah, good 2-way player.
But we're thinking about melancholy. We should take a second because nobody knows who he is. But back in the day in basketball, for college for a second, we had the Big East used to be one of the biggest, most fun conferences. I think there's a 30 for 30 on it.
One of the best ones.
Louis Carnesecco, 90 years old, passed away this week, who was in some of the best competition with St. John's, that New York school in the Big East. I seen all those games in real time. Man, the coaches in that conference and the games that went down, I think he's one of the last to go because Thomas is gone, Rolly Massimino's gone, and I forget who else. But God bless John, everything he brought to basketball.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Big shout out to him and to the Big East as well.
Yes.
We'll move this along to, one that we love to talk about here, the NHL, where we will begin with our weekly power rankings. Cruz.
Okay, so you want me to give you the power rankings? Okay.
You loved my list last week.
Well, you know,
you called it a terrible list, and I was proven right by my list.
I'm not gonna say nothing because I have to verify the fact that you did have some interesting things that I have to respect. Is that the word?
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, here's my power ranking. Starting at number 5, the Florida Panthers. I'm keeping them there. Okay. They're the champions. They had a great game against Philly the other night. Did you see that game?
I saw the highlights.
7-5. It was a burner, man. And Philly was going down swinging. And they were up 4-2, I think, going into third period. Or late in the second. Yeah. They were up 4-2. And then they put the hammer down, and then it was just chaos and banging. And, of course, Philly and Florida, it wasn't 1976. But the bodies started flying. So I'm giving Florida at number 5. I'm giving your Toronto Maple Leafs at number 4.
Okay.
Number 3, I'm giving your Washington Capitals. I acquiesce. Took a look.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. Did some research. Very interesting things going on in Washington when you look deeper. Okay, I'll give you
Thank you very much.
That. Number 2 is my Minnesota Wild.
Oh.
See what they've done in the last week?
No, they won their last 5 in a row.
Oh, they're rolling. And my number 1 team, and I'm not going away from them, is in our favorite city of gambling and decadence, the Vegas Golden Knights.
Number 1.
Wow. I'm not bowing. No way. See them last night? What a great game against Edmonton. They pulled it off. Great game against Dallas. They're they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And they're a ruthless team.
Sure.
The most ruthless. You know what? I say in 5 years, if they keep going with this kind of record, they'll be one of the most ruthless teams in sports.
Okay.
God bless George McPhee.
God bless George McPhee, the president there.
He's ruthless. I know his brother.
Yeah.
They're a ruthless family.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. So my number 5, I got the New Jersey Devils.
They were my honorable mention.
My honorable mention was LA.
Oh, them too.
Yeah.
I hated leaving. You know how much I think of LA? I had to leave them out.
My number 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, okay.
My number 3, I have the Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh. okay.
Number 2, the Washington Capitals.
Oh.
And number 1, the Minnesota Wild.
Whoa, you're jumping on my Wild bandwagon.
Number 1 in the league, and they've won their last 5. Hard to not put them number 1.
And look who they beat in those games. They beat Dallas. I think they're the only one that beat Vegas. They're good. They're really
very good.
And you know what? The thing about them is the fact that Kaprizov has definitely got to be a MVP candidate.
Oh,
but his supporting cast is pretty solid, and some of the kids
Sure.
haven't scored enough. Yeah, like they're going to even get better as the season goes on. But I like Minnesota a lot, especially in their barn.
Oh, they had great home ice advantage in Minnesota.
They their home barn. They're very, very good. But let's before we go anywhere though, we got to have our weekly Toronto Maple Leafs.
This is the house of the Leafs.
The house. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I acquiesce to the fact that I'm talking to the Milani family here.
And you're in the heart of Leaf Nation.
Of course I am.
So it's the house of the Leafs.
Go Habs, go.
Settled.
Okay. In any
Where I
event,
can't see you guys from the bottom of the basement.
Oh, we're going to talk about Habs today. We're going to get to that in a minute. Anyways, let's just talk about the Leafs here. The game last night was amazing.
It was
What
a good
a
game.
great game. I mean,
And Washington was out for revenge after how the Leafs beat them in their barn last time out.
exactly. But
Yeah.
I come in, and I thought it was an advantage to the Leafs because they got Livgren in goal. They didn't get Logan Thomas. So I thought, that's going to help. No, it didn't. He played good.
Well, Washington's defense was on point. There was like 3-4
Your
times.
buddy, Sandin.
Well, it was
Your
more like
buddy.
Carlson and like some other guys. But
All
like
of
there was
them.
like 3-4 times when the Leafs was like, this looked like a golden goal opportunity, and then just like it somehow
Collapsed.
stayed out of the net.
Collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It was a great game, both ends. Either team could have won. I'm impressed because when you look at the Washington lineup, do you know they got like 7 guys that were drafted in the top 25 in the last 5 years?
Yep.
So,
The
and
Connor McMichaels of the
Connor
world. Yeah.
McMichael, we'll get to them in a second, but we'll go that before, but that's why the game was great. But let's get back to the Leafs. Best goaltending tandem in the league. I'll go with that right now. You go around the league, you find 2 guys. Like, was it Solar's fault that they lost last night? No. He played great, so that's another good thing on his record. So they got the best goaltending tandem in the league. I think, personally, their defense core has been solidified. You know what I mean? Like the 6 guys they got going out there, and even if they got to pull a guy off the bench, he's playing his role.
Yeah, the Philip Myers of the world.
Yes, coming back in. And not only that, they're not throwing the pizzas out there anymore.
No.
They're playing that direct style. Everybody plays that in the league. So I just noticed that the advantage to the Leafs is if it does open up, like Washington tried to open it up last night for a bit, Toronto had 4 good scoring chances, and then Washington shut it right back down. Because it's scary against the Leafs. They can play that style that looks like playoff hockey, but if you open it up against the Leafs, you're looking for trouble.
Oh, yeah. They're one of those teams like them, Colorado, Edmonton. You can't play that style against them.
Or even Minnesota.
Sure,
if
sure.
you open, like, because everybody's playing that style where they're checking up the middle and they're taking away the shooting lanes. Okay, I get it. But sometimes, you know, in the situation of the game, the momentum changes and all of a sudden it starts opening it up because someone wants a goal or someone's trying to get that equal goal and it opens up. I noticed teams do that against Toronto for about 5 minutes and then they stop.
Yeah, it never works.
Never works.
But
No.
Washington, to their credit, they played they're aggressive. Their forecheck is
Oh,
super aggressive.
one of the best.
Like they
I
always
like
send
it.
2 guys in. It's like unless you like thread the needle with the pass, it's like they make it very hard for you to break out of your own zone.
Well, not only that, when you look at it though, what are the 3 guys, the 3 kids? They got McMichael, that kid, that Piastra, he's from Belarus.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be a player.
He had a little fan club at the game last night.
Yeah, he did. I noticed that. And the other, and Lapierre.
Yeah.
All 3 of those guys are 23 years old.
They've drafted very well in the last few
Oh,
years.
no doubt about
They've
it.
done the soft rebuild a lot better than Pittsburgh has.
No doubt, and very done quietly. Because remember last year when they got in, we'll say, okay, we'll see what next year.
And I was the only one singing their praises in the offseason with their moves.
I wasn't.
Which I couldn't believe because I'm like, look at who they added on defense. Look at who they added in goal. Look who they added up front. They got better at all 3 forward positions.
Exactly, and the kids matured.
Yep.
So it was a perfect storm.
And you got Ovechkin very hungry for that goal scoring record. And then
And he's skating.
Yeah.
And he's skating.
The coach, oh my God, I'm blanking on it. Spencer Carberry. He
Yeah,
kind of worked that into like the team story this year, which I thought was very cool. And that's the smart way to do it.
Okay, you know what he reminds me of? You know who he is? Can I compare him to this? You're gonna think I'm nuts. You know what kind of coach I think he is? I think he's the Matt LaFleur of hockey.
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
I can actually see that.
You know how they don't forget their defense and they orchestrate their offense?
Yeah.
The lines are very well built. But when I looked up Washington last week, and I said, what's this freaking Milani guy? Give me this Washington bullshit. Is he smoking my weed? What the fuck is going on here? So I went and did some research.
Well, look, they were up there in the standings.
Exactly. I looked at everything about him, and I said, oh, I better shut up because they are, and then they keep on winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't deny what these guys are doing. And they got balanced scoring.
Dylan Strom top 10 in scoring right now.
McMichael is already, his projection is going to be double what he scored last year. That Portress guy, he's on a level to be double his points from last year. LePierre, another guy. And don't they have Pierre-Luc Dubois too?
They did. They added him. They added him for very cheap. All they traded was Kemper to LA to get him. They got Chikrin from Ottawa for pennies on the dollars too.
Steele, he's playing great hockey. Think about
Big Boy.
Oh, Big Boy is right.
Although there was a couple times last night when the Leafs, it happened twice where like there's a Washington defender at the blue line. They basically like pushed him right out, and I'm like, that can't happen.
He's good in front of the net, but he's not the best skater of them all. So
Chikrin?
he gets Chikrin.
Well, I don't know if it was Chikrin specifically.
I seen Chikrin get knocked out at the blue line, but not in front of the net.
Yeah,
not in front of the net. Don't they go there? That's dangerous area. But I really respect, because I was going to question their goaltending until Logan.
Can you turn off that game that's going to spoil our picks? Oh, is it? The Buffalo national anthem is going on right now. They got an afternoon game.
Oh, gee.
At least I think it's a game right now.
I think it is too.
Yeah, it's against Utah. Then it is.
Yeah, let's go
watch some WWE instead.
Like that. Like, you know what? Of all things I'll do, sorry, Zach, I'm gonna just go to something else. Anything else?
Yeah, we'll put that on two screens. Why not?
Yeah, we're not paying attention anyway, but it's nice to see Willie Mays.
Yeah, either way, though, Washington, hell of a team right now.
Oh, unbelievable. And I love their, like, you know what? They're good for the next 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Despite Ovi and some of the, well, I mean, he's
and
really the only.
all done too.
Well, Backstrom's done, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, the nucleus of this team is under 27.
Yeah.
And the way they play hockey
good.
with this type of a coach, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look around.
Well, I want to go back in time a little bit. So Leafs beat Nashville 3-2 on
Great game too.
Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, the opening goal for Nashville, that was that was the weirdest bounce I've ever seen.
I couldn't believe it was in the net.
No one, neither could Joe Wall.
You know what? I rewound it 3 times in real time, trying to figure out how to get there.
The way the camera angle they showed you couldn't really tell.
No, that's what made it so weird. I kept rewinding in real time, and even when they showed it in slow-mo, it was just the weirdest thing that you like, whoa. So you know what? Well, don't worry about it. That ain't happening for another 5 years.
No.
You won't see, how many times do you see a goal like that?
Never.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I know Berube was not happy with the way the Leafs played the first. Then, of course, break in case of emergency, Matthews and Martin are back together right away.
Okay, we've talked about this offline. I know what you're talking about, Marner now. I think he got away from it last night, though. Notice he shot more?
Yeah.
Okay, notice it, because I know what you said when you're the bitching about how Marner plays different with Matthews. And the first game back, I could see when they finally got, because I remember at first he was playing with Nylander.
Yeah.
And then they put Matthews back together with him. And right away, you were right. Marner was looking all over the place for Matthews. And you were saying, like, take your own shot. But I noticed last night in the game, he didn't defer so much.
No.
He drove to the net, which is better,
Good.
which gave I thought Matthews should have had 2 or 3 goals last night.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He was all over the place. And you know what you got to give Matthews credit for, even though he's like considered like a offensive superstar? His defensive play is second to none.
Oh, agreed.
Oh, you know what I mean? And he was on the ice for 2 goals. When you know, as I would say about plus minus, I'm interested in plus minus, and you say sometimes it shouldn't matter. Matthews was on against 2 goals. One of them was the wall goal.
Yeah.
And one of them was that weird deflection goal. That's a minus for you. You got nothing to do. You just have
exactly.
You jumped over the boards. Oh, whoops. So I'm saying it's more valuable for defensemen than it is for forwards in that case, because the rest of the game, I thought Matthews was one of the best defensive forwards on the ice.
Yeah.
But blocking shots. You know, digging the puck out of the corner. He hit guys.
Although, like him, he had I can't remember if this was the Chicago or the Nashville game. He had a moment in his end where he gave it away. I'm like,
that was the Chicago game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was already looking for Nylander up the wing, and Nylander wasn't there. It was a terrible giveaway.
And then Marner had the passing it back on the breakaway.
Oh, whoops. Okay. But you know what? That's chemistry. And the next 9 times that may work.
But I don't know, passing on a breakaway, I'll never get that. And
Neither will I.
And then going back in time even further. So they beat Chicago 4-1 on Monday. That no surprise. And then they beat Tampa in Tampa 5-3 on Saturday.
Solid win.
Although the end was butting my nails a little bit.
That's because they were already thinking about going to the club. They were in Florida. They were staying in town for the night. Okay, guys, where are we going? Oh, they scored. Okay, well, let's make the plans. Oh, they scored again. Oh, well, let's tighten up. It just seemed like that. You know what I mean? Like they went into cruise control with 5 minutes left. They dominated the game.
Obviously.
They dominated the game.
But overall, not a good week for the Leafs, 3-1.
What do you think it's going to be? There's a lot of scuttlebutt about the Toronto Maple Leafs because they have shown to me in a weird way, like I keep harping on this, the depth of their forwards is second to no one in the league. Okay, so now...
Oh, man, this year especially.
It's
even their call-ups have fit in like Minton, Grabakin.
I still can't believe that Robertson hasn't got more goals. Him on the line with Minton... Oh.
My thing with Robertson, he always makes one too many moves.
Or he looks for somebody when he shoots and shoots when he should pass.
Yeah.
I think he's forcing his game a bit.
Oh, 100%.
But his checking there, their forecheck with the Minton line on, that's a good forechecking line. Who they put in the wing? The Lorentz guy? Who's the guy?
Yeah, Lorentz was on the right wing of that line last night.
And what do? They forechecked the living hell. Like they weren't mind. They were
Ruby hockey.
Oh, exactly. And going in, the way they go in with that speed. So what's going to happen now?
Well,
Domi's got to come back and get
Domi, McMahon, and McCabe could all come back this week.
Okay, so what are you going to do? I know Minton's the guy because he's he's
a 2A. Well, him and Grabakin are going to be sent down for sure.
Oh, Grabakin for sure.
Yeah.
He's fun, but he hasn't been out of place. He's more there. I think Reeves should go to the box more. But I think that Minton, come playoff time, I think he's going to be in your lineup. I really do. He's a good.
Well, that also depends on injuries.
Okay, but I think when you go there and you want to have your best lineup for the year, and you don't have to worry about that once the playoffs start, why wouldn't he be in there? He's not missing. He looks like a good third line center.
I agree.
And then you know what they could do? Put Domi on a wing. Domi, Robertson, and him. That would be a good line out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he's in the right place at the right time. He's not lacking defensively, and he can shoot the puck.
Sure. Well, let's see. It's a long season. We'll see. He will get sent to the minors, though, at least for now.
Okay, but I expect when the playoffs start, the night the playoffs start, I do believe that Minton will be in your lineup. I think he's played that well. No, he's impressed me. He's impressed me.
He's impressed me too.
You know what I mean? The guys that impressed me.
He's, 4 points in 7 games so far?
And with 12, 14 minutes of ice.
Yeah, third line time. No special teams really.
No, he was out there one night when they were winning in Tampa Bay. Remember, they put him on power play. They gave him a chance, which is cool because he was rewarded. That's good.
But he's not getting regular PP2 time.
He's not coming out. No. But I'm impressed with his game. I really am, and I'm saying, like, I'm not a Leaf guy. If you guys lose in the first round, so be it. But I like the way because I got to watch you. You're entertaining. Nobody's going to open it up on you, and all 3 phases of the game are great. One of the things that you guys have to realize is you guys have gone from, like, a team that doesn't get penalties, Berube coach team, to one of the top penalized teams in the league, which has led to what? One of the best PKs in the league. Another special teams is going to do it for you, late in the season, late in the games.
I also want to make a shout out to Connor Timmins because he has looked like a completely different player this year.
Oh, and he's hitting people. You know,
and he's not he's not throwing the pizzas up the middle of the ice, which was kind of a trademark of his the last few years.
I think that Toronto's gotten way away from that. You know, they must have been listening.
100%.
O-Dog must be going to practices because you ever hear O-Dog loses his mind?
Or it's just Craig Berube style.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. Their forechecking is really, really good. I still say they're going to win the division. That was my call.
It's going to come down to them in Florida.
So we should take a go around the
Well, hold on.
What?
Let's get to, do you want to talk, or do you want to go around the league and then 4 nations? Or
No, we'll go around the league, then 4 nations.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, first of all, I want to talk about this freaking insanity going on with the New York Rangers.
Oh, boy. So, yesterday, Jacob Trouba was traded to Anaheim for Urho Vakanainen and a 2025 4th-round pick. Now, the word on the street was that Trouba had, apparently the Rangers had a bunch of trade offers laid out for Trouba, and if he didn't accept one by 2 o'clock, he was going to be put on waivers. And lo and behold, around 2 o'clock, it was announced he was getting traded to Anaheim.
Someone would have picked him up off waivers. I think it was a bluff.
Well, it would have been a shit team, though.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm just saying it would have.
Like Anaheim is the top of the league?
I mean, at least he gets to control where he goes.
At the last second. Did you see him crying on TV when he did his interview?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, he's got an interview where he's basically crying. I love New York. What happened? What's going on with New York? Let's just talk about them. And I said that team was too soft. Trouba's one of their toughest guys.
Well, you know what I'm going to say. It all starts with ownership. James Dolan's
Okay.
Is he a psycho? Can I say that?
Okay, so are the Rangers in full panic mode?
100%.
Yes. Okay, so what did they
Chris
try?
Kreider could be next out the door, apparently.
They're two toughest guys.
I know.
And
That's
you
the
see
thing.
them in
Like,
the playoffs. That's what blows my mind. They're two toughest guys.
A lot of people are giving them shit for the return on Trouba. I actually think it's pretty good. Vakanainen, I understand he's 25, but he hasn't really gotten much of an opportunity. He's good defensively, but he does not help their toughness problem at all.
No. And look where they're fading, okay? So this is where you want to go around the league. This is what I'm still saying. I'm saying the Metropolitan Division is going to have all the wild cards, all the bids. I'm sticking to that. I'm going to say that right now.
You don't think Tampa or Boston can get that final wild card?
Oh, it's going to be tough for them because first of all,
it's all a big mess.
Exactly. So it's so messy that Montreal could talk about shit. That's how messy it is. And what's Montreal doing me in the conversation? Hey, technically, look at this.
5 points out. 5 points out. If you're out 5 points out in at this time, it's you're basically mathematically out. It's very, very hard for you to come back. 5
points, that's nothing. Have a 6-game winning
streak. Look at the numbers, Cruz.
Look for 6-game winning streak. We got Laline back. Line back. Okay, but anyways, that's what I'm just saying.
I know Ottawa, Detroit, Montreal. It's going to be even the Islanders, the way they're going, I think it's going to be very, very hard.
They're having their issues. They just can't
Buffalo
score.
all of a sudden lost 5 in a row after I've been pumping their tires. No. I don't get it.
And they got good defense, but Dahlin, isn't he out for a game? And he was kind of banged up a couple games.
Scoring's an issue with them.
Oh, big time, and which is another reason we'll get to that in a bit. But when you look at it now, I'm still saying Washington, Jersey, and Carolina.
Easy.
They're easy. And Pittsburgh has suddenly raised their head, so I won't talk about that insane.
But they're under 500, and they have a minus 29 goal differential.
Killing them. And they lost last night, a tough one to Boston. That doesn't kill which I'm not going to bring up until we get to the trade deadline because I know you're not happy with my.
They're not going to trade him with 2 years left to go.
We're not going to talk about it anymore.
You just brought it up.
Wait till they come in. Sid, we're waiting for you. But anyways. Pittsburgh, I don't think is going to get a fighting chance. Philadelphia is playing their asses off. I just don't think that they're very deep. They're not deep.
But can they sneak into that number 8 seed? We saw the way Washington snuck into that number 8 seed last year. The East is not that strong.
That's why I keep going to the fact I believe the bids are going to come in from the Metropolitan. Because once the dust is settled, look at Boston.
But also you can't count out Tampa or Boston. Like Boston, all of a sudden with Joe Sacco, they're starting to find their way.
5-2. So what? They
got 6-3-1 their last 10.
Okay, so but he hasn't been there last 10. He's only been there for
They've
last
won
10.
3 in a row.
Okay. Their point differential is minus 13, and we know that's
What's their point differential with the new coach?
They moved up about 5. So what? No big deal. They can't score. We know this formula. If you don't have a plus goal differential, your odds of making the playoffs are slim to none.
I get that, but Boston's starting to turn it around.
Fuck Boston, okay? I'm sick of those guys. Vermin, Marchand, and the whole gang. Charlie McAvoy, he's learning how to skate again. Pasternak can't get anyone to get the puck
Swayman's starting to put up better numbers finally. He's starting to find his game.
He stopped being a snit. Stopped being a little bitch. You know, but then do you think Carpussello's going to be there in the big moments when they need him?
No, but it's going to be Swayman's the guy now is my point. It looks like he's back.
Fuck Boston. I hope they go to hell. The whole scumbag. You know what? I didn't even like. I thought it was nice. I had to keep turning the volume off when they had their 100th anniversary. And, of course, they had to bring in Montreal to make it ceremonial. Fuck you.
And they played it wasn't the Canadians, but they played the Montreal Maroons their first game ever.
And then it was after who later became the Habs. Whatever.
No, they didn't.
No, they became.
They're a different. No, they just folded.
They folded, yeah.
Yeah.
Because all the money went to Montreal. You know, it was political back in the day, right?
Well, and also it was the Great Depression.
Yeah. Okay, so who had money and who didn't?
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing about what goes on in Montreal.
The Maroons won Stanley Cups back in the day, though.
One.
Was it just one?
They got 6 overall. 100 years, 6 trophies. Get in line.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Montreal Maroons.
They won.
They won they only won one?
I think one.
I thought they won 2.
Maybe it was 2, yeah. But it was all gangster shit. If you look at the history, I've read all the Montreal history. Gangster shit was going on back then in the 30s during the Depression. Gangster shit.
Sure.
Okay. But in any event, I really do believe that all the teams are going to come out. Jersey's raised their heads. They seem to straighten out their game. Jersey's a great-looking team. Washington.
I think but Jersey, I don't know. I think they're good, but not great.
Because their defense. I thought their defense would be better.
Oh, Sheldon Keefe having a bad defensive team. What do you know? What do you know?
But they're a team.
Coach of the year, Sheldon Keefe.
But look at their rate up there. Here's the thing about Jersey.
And their goaltending's let them down this year, too.
Oh, big time. Bad goals the worst time. But you know the funny thing about it, though, and you're going to love this. They're playing like the Toronto Maple Leafs played last year. They're the most wide open team.
No shit.
They play wide open. And once they get to the pond hockey game, they're tough to slow down. You got to hit them, but they got some big guys. I brought in Dylan and a couple guys, and that made a difference. So they're tightened up on the back end. Not that they're saying they're the most mobile defenseman, but at least they can clean out the front of their net, and then they're just run and gun. So I don't know if that's a formula. The team that I've been always bragging about is the Carolina Hurricanes, and their goaltending, like you mentioned to me, is no. But the guy that's leading the scoring, Neskin or whatever, he should be MVP candidate too. He's really broken out this year. I've watched their games. Sometimes he's the best player on the ice, but then Martin let in a couple of beats balls, game over.
Yeah, they sent him down, actually, Spencer Martin.
They had to. He was absolutely brutal.
Kachekhov's not much better, and they called up Dustin Tokarski, come on.
I thought he was on the freaking retirement thing by now.
Canadian junior legend. He's 35 now. Holy shit.
Exactly. He's been around forever. Petrikov is solid, but I don't think he can take
Kochetkov.
How do you say his name?
Kochetkov.
He always reminds me of somebody on Star Trek, that name. But anyways, he's solid. But I don't think he can take the workload. He's never had this workload in his life.
He's never been
and he's never been a number one.
They've given him flashes, but
he's like Solars was when he was backing up Bobrovsky, but he's not looking like he's going to be as good as Solars is. You know what I mean?
No, all of a sudden, whenever they give Kochetkov the big load, his numbers always fall down.
That's my point.
Yeah.
They got to do something. So Carolina's in trouble.
Yeah.
Except for that, the rest of their team is great.
I know.
Solid defense, good lines.
I wonder, because Anaheim's starting to play John Gibson a little bit more. I wonder if they're kind of showing him off for a trade, because apparently there was a trade in place to send him to Carolina.
Really?
Someone blocked it. I'm not sure who, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina and Anaheim revisit this.
I wouldn't be surprised if Anaheim's out there looking for a goal. I mean, Carolina's looking for a solid guy anywhere. That's going to kill them.
I don't know how the cap number is going to work out, though. Okay, that's the only issue.
They're 1-1. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. But if you really look at it, they've lost 3 of their last 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they can rebound, because I think the Rangers are done. There's too much internal turmoil. Guys are going to come out and run every guy in the team who's going to stick up for them, and they're going to be in trouble.
I wonder if there's another trade on the horizon soon.
I don't know. Like I said, Tampa Bay ain't going anywhere. If there's any team that's going to sneak into those, they just seem to have a way to do it. And if that's the case, then they're going to move ahead of Boston. So it would be Toronto, Florida, and Tampa Bay will be out of that division, and all the other.
Don't count out Boston.
Fuck Boston. I'm sick of those vermin-smelling Irish go-to-hell motherfuckers, man. I hope they fall off the cliff. I'm so sick of them. Oh, Boston. They are the perfect organization. Oh,
literally says no one.
Thank you. I'm sick of them.
Should we move to the West?
Yes, the West is going to be even crazier, because there's some teams sitting on the bubble right now that might make it or might not.
Oh, also, it's actually one more thing with the East. Your New York Islanders, Elliot Friedman had a very interesting comment. It looks like they're waiting for something to happen. I think they're going to go full rebuild.
Is that what they're going to do?
I think so.
They just can't score. Like how many games do you see them, and there's 3 minutes left in the second period and it's 1-1?
Yeah.
End of the game, it's 4-1 with an empty net goal. Or 2-2. Or they're winning 2-1 with 10 minutes left. Bingo, lose 3-2. They just can't score.
I'm surprised Patrick took that job.
It was to get back in the league. That's what I think. And he's not doing a bad job. He just doesn't have the roster.
He doesn't have the personnel. I completely agree.
You know what I mean? And then you're
that could hurt you as a head coach. I mean, look at this is football, but look at Nick Saban with the Miami job, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's all over. But when you look, the one thing about the Islanders though is that when you look at them, even though they're a -13, they're pretty well even. And look at,
but they've only won a third of their games.
They've only scored 69 goals.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's the issue right there. Brazel's out. The young kid's out. Like the guys that you look like they could eventually be sniping or give you a goal or be a 25-goal scorer. Who's going to score 25 goals in the Islanders this year? I'll give you a month. And that's it. Because I'm just a Patrick
Brock Nelson is the only guy. Oh, and Anders Lee maybe.
Oh, yeah, he should be too. But he's
actually, they have 3 guys on pace for 30.
If they get there.
Well,
everybody's knocking on the door for Brock Nelson.
Well, yeah, I want to bring up Brock Nelson a little bit later when we talk about the West.
Okay.
So on to the West, I guess. Minnesota leading the way. Vegas not far behind. After that, there's a bit of a gap between them and like the Dallases, the LAs, the Vancouvers of the world. Calgary, I think we're starting to see the slowdown, the fallback.
I hope they can get in there, but look, at a team like Edmonton's going to blow right by them.
But and Colorado's outside looking in right now. How long is that going to stay?
No, because they're going to do it too. And all of a sudden, but they're another team that they've got to improve their goal differential.
And to their credit, St. Louis, ever since they got Robert Thomas back, they've been pulling their heads back.
They're a tough out. Like they're not going to go anywhere either,
No.
as far as I can see it. And they every game I see them, they're solid as rock.
Utah is really starting to fall back, though, despite only a -5 goal differential.
Well,
they can't score.
Another team that can't score, they can't battle.
Yeah, they've only scored 70, not too far off from the Islanders, right?
Okay, so where are we with the Winnipeg Jets?
I mean, they've peaked. It looks like 4-6 in their last 10. I don't know if I think they're gonna find that middle ground somewhere, but I mean that beginning of the season was probably a little bit of a mirage.
The fact is that they're still going to make the playoffs because
Absolutely, they're going to be a top 3 seed in the Central.
Oh, I agree, and not only that, but let's take it one step farther. Now that we're all on the Minnesota thing, like they had that crazy ass start, and look who's in first place now.
Minnesota.
Very, very, very solid team. I don't think Dallas is going anywhere. Too bad my boy Tyler got hurt.
Yeah, so Tyler Seguin is going to be out 4 to 6 months. They're saying with a hip surgery. Could be a see you in the playoff situation. I wonder if even if he is back for like late in the season, they just Mark Stone, LTIR, Vegas him basically.
Oh, that's what's going to happen,
Yeah.
100%. But that line with Marshman, Duchesne, and Seguin, that was trouble every time they were on the ice, and that's their second line.
Yeah, but now apparently they're sniffing around at the Islanders for Brock Nelson. That would be a dangerous pickup.
Oh,
He's a guy who can play center, can play the wing. You know he's one of my favorite players in the league. Great hands around the net.
I'm telling you.
He's a big boy, too.
If I was if I was Dallas, I would be sniffing up his ass right now because they had the two, arguably, their top 2 lines could face any top 2 lines in the league.
Yeah.
Especially statistically right now.
Although Jason Robertson not having a great year.
No, you know why? He's little. They're pushing him off the puck. That's the problem with the little guys. It's starting to look big guys, and banging is working in this league. It's
but I don't get it. Like, what about the last couple years?
Because for some reason, last couple of years, they were letting it a little bit more wide open. And then the Floridas and the Vegases came along and started banging the shit out of everybody. And
fair
says,
point.
Everybody
Copycat league. It's like after Anaheim won, everyone got like 2 inches bigger all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? And what happens is that these guys, they got to muscle up because they got big wingers on them. How big is Jason Roberts? 5'10", 180? My size?
He's a short 5'10".
Okay, whatever the case may be, but he gets pushed off the puck a lot.
Yeah.
He's going to get his scoring opportunities, and they've got some depth. So I think they're going to be there. But it was that line I loved. Every time I loved seeing them because they were like guys that are senior citizens, but they're well into the 30s. They're pushing towards the back, well into the back nine.
The back nine, yeah.
And they're playing great. I've always liked Tyler Seguin. I've always liked him. I like him when he basically told Boston to go fuck themselves.
Is that when you started to like him?
I didn't like him when he was on Boston.
I was going to say.
But I'm just saying, when I heard the circumstances of...
Well, it sounded more like Boston told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, because they're stiffs. The kid went out to a show. Same thing with Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
The Joe Thornton theory. The boys wanted to be themselves. You can't be like that. You're in Boston.
Although Dougie Hamilton, that was a little bit more of a weird one. He skipped a team dinner to go to a museum or something. That one's like I would probably trade him to.
Oh yeah,
fair.
that one was just weird. But I mean, like that's what happened, and with that team and Boston. You know what? You can't argue with them because their structure's got them pretty well.
And they always get a lot back for these trades. You can argue that they're trading the best players in a lot of these, but they always get guys that play like 300, 400 games for them, right?
Exactly. No, I organizationally, infrastructurally wise, okay, I'll give it to them because obviously their performance the last 10 years has indicated that they are that type of a team. However, if they're flying off the cliff this year, I'm the first guy pushing them over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the great, that movie where the bus is on the end, where they're stealing it in Italy and they steal it with...
No, the Italian Job.
The Italian Job. Yeah, well, you know, when the tip's at the end, I'm going to be the guy in the
they're stuck on the cliff at the end, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be the guy in the back end pushing it to give it that little extra thing. Bye-bye, Boston. Goodbye. You know what I mean?
Back to the Western Conference, though. You move over to the Pacific, Vegas, rather, leading the way. LA, Vancouver, second, third, they're only a point apart of each other. Vancouver, I don't think you're giving them enough credit.
I'm not. Something seems to be missing on that team. Is there another?
I just think it's injuries. Once their guys come back, I think they're going to be okay.
They better learn to bang a little bit more because when they lose late, when the games get rough.
I wonder if they go after a guy like they did last year. Remember how they got, around this time, they got Zadorov.
Agreed. I think they need a power forward.
Another forward, yeah?
I think they need a power forward. No, a guy that makes a difference on a power guy, like a 30-goal guy that skates, bangs like a nice kind of guy.
Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson. There you go. He's going to, if Islanders, like you say, Freeman knows what he's talking about. So that guy's not for
because I'm waiting for something to happen. I don't think they're going to fire Wah.
No, that's not going to happen.
Maybe they fire Lou. I don't know. That'd be both middle of the season, though.
Lou and Patrick ain't going nowhere. They're just that Lou's going to go. We're going to have to stir
maybe in
it
the
up.
offseason they could reevaluate Lou because that's
Lou ever since up there.
And ever since they made it to those 2 semifinals, it's been downhill for the Islanders.
Made some roster mistakes. And who was
Devin Taves to Colorado for 2 seconds. Come on, bro.
That's Lou.
That's stupid.
No, Lou's made some mistakes.
Stupid.
What do you think of the Kings, though?
They're good. I still goaltending is with that team.
That Riddick guy's played okay, whatever his name is. He's been solid. Like his save percentage.
891 save percentage.
I was just gonna say his save percentage isn't the greatest, but he makes the big save at the right time, and that's good in my books.
guess. I mean, I guess there's something to, like. I think the team plays better in front of him than they do in front of Kemper, even though Kemper's save percentage is slightly better.
That doesn't appeal to me. I'm just saying that.
I mean, they're both bad. They're both bad.
None of them are great. But here's the great thing that I was telling you about, and it's getting back to even, why they were rising up, but I made it a couple weeks ago. They haven't played at home. Now look at their home record. It's getting even. They're 9-2-1 at home.
Oh, very good home team. Actually, and that's them versus Minnesota in LA too. That's going to be a very intriguing matchup.
100%.
And both teams, I think LA is on a win streak too. Yeah, they won their last 4.
They play tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a game I'll have on for sure. I'll be watching that. But I like the Kings because remember at the season I loved them last year and I said, with Doughty hurt, they're young, they're blah,
and they kind of collapsed about this way at this point of the season last year, right?
It was after Christmas.
Okay, either way.
But but they were there. But I don't think that they're well coached. They're playing way better. They're young too. They're young and fast.
Sure.
So I think they're going to be there. Vancouver, I think, is going to be scrapping. By the time we get down to that last week,
I don't think so.
Okay, well look at this.
I think they're gonna that Vegas, LA, Vancouver. If it stays them as the top 3 in that division, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You're gonna say Edmonton's not gonna climb up there?
Edmonton they have the worst GM in the league.
Maybe.
They don't have goaltending. Their defense sucks. They're right up against the cap. I think if Edmonton misses, hold on. If Edmonton misses the playoffs, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised.
I don't think they will.
Even if they make it to the playoffs, I think they're out in the first round.
Really?
Yeah. Their goaltending sucks, bro. Their defense sucks, bro. They have scored besides these besides them.
Nugent Hopkins, Connor McDavid. Should I keep going on?
Besides their top, they have 3 guys with 20 points or more. After that, it really starts to fall off. Nugent Hopkins is not having a great year. He only has 4 goals.
No, I know. He's a little bit snake bitten.
Hyman's had not a good season as all.
No, but he did score the other
night. They bring in
night.
Jeff Skinner. He's been...
No, and I will agree with you on this. Their defense is not the defense that got them to the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
No. Hell no.
Like what's going on here? And those 2 guys they let go that were to St. Louis in that deal.
Oh, I know. And then they brought back Adam Henrique. He hasn't been that great. Victor Arvidsson hasn't been that great either.
I thought Henrique would be way better now that he had a whole season with him, and he has not panned out to be the player that I thought he'd be. The way he skates and plays, I thought he was well suited for Edmonton. And it's just maybe it's an adaptation. You're going to say that Edmonton's going to be out? Okay, great. So I'm just saying who are going to be the top 3 teams. You think Vancouver's going to be there?
Yeah.
I think they're going to be.
I love the Canucks.
I think they're going to be
once they get healthy again.
Okay.
Watch.
So, do you think Colorado's going to make the playoffs?
I think they find a way to make it in.
Okay, so that you're saying Minnesota, Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado. There's the top 4. Then you got Vegas, Los Angeles, and Vancouver. That's 7. We only got one more guy.
I think it's going to come down to Calgary, Edmonton, St. Louis for that final spot.
And I think Edmonton's.
You know what? This might sound crazy. San Jose.
Most fun team in the league to watch. No doubt. And I'm getting used to those weird looking uniforms. The color.
They're growing on me.
They're growing on me too. You know why? Because of Celebrini. He's box office, that guy.
I like the Swedes that he plays with,
and the
too.
Swede, too. Yeah, the young kid. He's only 21, too, isn't he?
Well, there's two he plays with, the Eklund and, Zetterland and Ekberg or
whatever his name is. One of them's young.
They're both young.
Like, super young. But Celebrini, man, he's
a beauty.
Is he not? Now, like, where does that put Connor Bedard? Celebrini did not get any.
Well, Luke Richardson just got fired from Chicago.
What
for
does that tell
reason.
you? Yeah. What does that tell you?
Because they're like, they somehow look worse than last year.
Yeah.
Despite like all these upgrades that they got, that makes no sense. Sorry about your luck, Luke.
I'm gonna say this. Bedard is another kid that's getting pushed off the puck way too much. Someone on Chicago, like Foligno or somebody, has got to give the kid some respect. They got to Ryan Reeves the guy. Someone's got to do something because he gets pushed around a lot. And who's protecting him?
Nobody.
Thank you. So, at least when Celebrini's out there, they got those couple big guys in the back end. When he's out there, he's got two monkeys behind him ready to do some damage. Those two big, tall defensemen in San Jose. I forget their names. I should have wrote them
But
down.
besides the Bedard and Donato in Chicago, no one's putting up good numbers. Bertuzzi's not looking good. Taylor Hall's not looking good.
Taylor Hall's looking horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to them. They're like, who's going to get the number one draft choice again? They'll be in the lottery.
Can Chicago even win it? Because they have the rule now where you can only win a lottery pick twice in 5 years, right?
So they're eligible.
What pick didn't they have the number 2 pick last year? So I don't think they are eligible. I think even if they finish last, I mean, whatever, 3rd place, that's not too bad, but you can't get a top 2 pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're in trouble. I think they're a couple years away. I think that eventually Bedard's going to be a great player.
Sure.
He'll be a point a game guy for his career.
He might not be having his best years in Chicago the way it's going, though.
No, and he's getting very frustrated for a young guy. Like, too much frustration to be shown. Like, get back to your game. He has played better in the last 3 or 4.
Sure.
I will give him that. But Celebrini, that guy's box office. He's fun. He looks like he's having fun out there with those Swede guys.
Well, sure, they're winning games.
Yeah, not only that, but they do play a little bit of pond hockey. But what do they got to lose?
Exactly. And they're getting good goaltending, too.
Solid, so they're going to be okay. So you think San Jose could... What about Seattle?
I don't think they score enough.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in trouble, too. I like the way they play.
They look too conservative.
Really?
I think so.
I'll have to... Montour is a great ad.
He is.
You know what I mean?
So is Chandler Stevenson. But...
Yeah, good ad, too. But I don't know. Maybe it's their goaltending. I don't know. But in any event... I think the West is going to be just like in basketball. The West side is going to be what they're going to do, and I think that by the time the dust settles, like in 1 month from now, we're going to see the teams on the top are going to be settled there, and everybody else is going to be scrambling.
So a couple other things in the league: Shesterkin signed an 8-year extension with the Rangers, $11.5 per, $92 million in total.
Boy, that must have made you happy with what you want to pay a goaltender, eh? But isn't that weird how they did that? That's
not my team.
Oh, no, not my money. Okay, so let's put it one step further. Isn't it interesting? They got all this problem in New York. They're getting rid of one of their captain, and then they suddenly sign Shesterkin.
Well, I think those two are connected because they cleared the cap space for Trouba. So they're like, oh, we suddenly have the money now for the goalie.
Let's put it on him, right? Because there was no salary. Like, they took the whole contract and everything. New York, there was no money exchanged in the contract.
Yeah, no, New York didn't retain any salary.
No, so that's what made it interesting. But I'm still saying that's the first ticket for me saying the Rangers are in trouble. You have the best goalie in the world. Doesn't mean you're going to win. Ask Montreal. He had Carey Price. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the Rangers, beginning of the season, I said, this team is too soft to go anywhere. They're too dipsy-doodle, and I think that they're not going to have the same team that they did. And look, them and Boston, they're the 2 teams that I called. Yeah. Get out of here.
Well, Boston's in a playoff spot, so they're doing better than... Yeah,
Rangers are in a playoff spot, too.
Yeah, but they're going in different trajectories, right?
We'll see.
Patrick Laine coming back from Montreal. Good to see.
Huge.
Good to see.
Huge.
There was a pizza line reunion in Ottawa. Alfredson and Spezza Heatley. I don't know if you saw that.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Alfred and Heatley got a good reception too, which was good to see. It was the one I was worried about.
I thought so too, but it was done. It was done well. Classy kind of a move. I thought that was okay. Even though Ottawa, I don't know what's their problem is. They're up and down like a yo-yo.
Ottawa?
Yeah.
Rumors that Brady Tkachuk might get traded.
That's a big rumor. Where's he going to go? Is he going to go out west to one of those teams that are looking for that kind of guy?
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean?
I don't know about Vancouver. I suspect he wants to go to the States, but...
Okay, so that's Dallas, Minnesota.
There you go.
Colorado. I don't think Colorado
can't do it.
No, but the other 2 teams have got a say in there. You know what I mean?
But the big news this week, the Four Nations face-offs rosters were all revealed.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to Four Nations, but I got this, I got to say really quick. Someone asked me why I dodged my Montreal Canadian thing that you caught me on. Hey, Cruz, what do you got to say about the Habs? And people said I ducked it. Okay, I'm not ducking my team. I'm just saying we got issues. And we've won the last few games. And I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs. But now that we got Line back, the boys are playing a little bit bigger. And we're going to talk about the Four Nations because somebody from Montreal made the team. So I think what is happening with Montreal is if we can get Matheson the fuck out of town, let the young kids play.
Well, he's still got another year on his contract after this, doesn't he?
Trade him at the deadline. Someone's going to want a defenseman. You know how much of a liability he is on the ice? He's brutal.
I think you guys might hang on to him for another year.
Oh, why? We got Savard, or Savard's contract's ending this year.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so that's probably, he'll be at the trade deadline. But Savard has been a better mentor to the guys than I think that Matheson's been. And don't put Matheson and Aberjacki out at the same time. Just don't do that. Okay. But Aberjacki's been playing much better. Like, he's not so much looking for guys. He's head-manning the puck and doing something like that. And our forwards skate like hell. We're still a little too small. But what we've got going for us is we've got that Anderson, Gallagher, and what's his name line, and they play for their okay. Everyone says they're getting overpaid, but their effort on the ice makes all the other guys on the team give the same effort.
Okay, yeah, but at the same time, you're talking about your third line as the shining spot on your team. That's
I'm not saying we don't have a first line. How many times?
I know that.
Okay, so maybe Lanny will help us get a first line because they put him out there with Slavkowski and Doc.
Yeah,
that could be an interesting line.
Doc's not playing well though.
I thought he'd be coming back. He's a complete player. Slavkowski's going to be fine.
He's playing hurt, though, it looks like.
But he's going to be fine. He's going to be a good power forward. I don't know if he'll get 30 goals before nice, but they've been playing there. So, no, I'm not ducking on my Habs. I'm very happy. Them and the Raptors have made me very happy in the last 10 days because I see them in the games that come out. And
Are you okay?
Maybe. Just because I cheer for those
Do you want a hug?
Sometimes I need one when I'm before the game. I look, I go, okay, here we go. What's going to happen tonight? Like, for example, I was so happy when the Raptors beat Indiana. Who do we got next? OKC.
And we got Dallas tonight, too.
But anyway, let's get back to
yeah, so Four Nations face-off.
First thing I got to say about that, your picks last week for all the teams was pretty damn solid.
Yeah,
especially with the Finnish team.
I was only off by 2 players on
like
Team
your
Finland.
Finnish call, I went, oh my God.
The one of the picks really confused me. I don't understand why they picked Valimaki over Yoki Haru. That really threw me off guard.
Size?
Yeah, but Valimaki's been playing not very good this year, and Yoki Haru's a right-handed shot who's been very good on penalty kill. I don't get that move. I really don't get that move.
Seniority?
Yoki Haru is a little older, I think.
Oh, really?
It's a bizarre one.
Anyways, I heard them talking about it. It was their connections to the national team, what they've done over the years. I don't think that should matter, but they were saying like Finland was like they're trying to get that team together.
Yeah.
So like the guys they know that are kind of familiar doing that kind of bullshit.
I guess.
But you called the Finnish team really well.
Yeah. So I was on all 3 of the goalies. I mean, that was easy to call: Saros, Luukkonen, and Lankinen.
Yep.
Defense: Heiskanen, Ristolainen, Lindell, Hakanpää, Mikkola, Mata, and then Valimaki gets named over Yoki Haru. Up front, the only one I didn't get right was I said Kotkaniemi when it was Eric Haula that made the team instead.
Better defensively,
I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's and hits.
Haula's a better skater too, I want to say.
I don't know, but a better skater, but he's physical.
Okay.
So then they're going to go up against the Americans. They're going to go up against Canadians. So I think that was a factor in bringing him in there just for a little bit more. Because Kotkaniemi's never going to be known for his physicality.
No.
Okay.
For a big guy, too.
For a big guy,
yeah. And then Lehkonen, Barkov, Rantanen, Aho, Hintz, Teravainen, Granlund, Lundell, Laine, Kakko, Luosterinen, and Armia complete the squad. For Team Sweden, I got all 3 goalies right. Gustafsson. Or no, sorry, I did not. So I had Urson. And it was Ullmark that made it instead, and then Gustafsson, Markstrom complete the goaltending. I was on Forsling, Erik Karlsson, Victor Hedman, Rasmus Andersson, Rasmus Dahlin, Ekholm. Then my only one that got wrong was I had Hampus Lindholm, and they named Brodin to the team instead.
Brodin, another reason, physicality.
Yeah, even though he's more known for like his skating and like.
But he's not afraid in front of...
The 2-way guy.
But, I mean, he adds a little bit more...
Yeah, but Lindholm has that reputation, too. I think it's more maybe because he's injured.
Possibly.
Yeah. And like I guess Brodeen's playing really well in Minnesota this year. Up front, I was only off by 2 players. I had Zetterlund and Venberg making the team. Instead, they had Nyquist and Arvidsson, who are not having great seasons. So that was a little bit of a surprise. Eklund and Zetterlund, I'm surprised neither of them made the team.
I think it has more to do with that same thing with
seniority.
And the Swedish coach talking about the national team and who's been together. He's still made some cracks about his team. Eh? He's not happy about what he's had to take. Is that going to affect the team going in?
It could.
I'm thinking like that. Maybe they'll have it'll all be smoothed over by the time we get to the tournament.
You'd hope. But if Finland upsets Sweden for like a 3rd place, don't be surprised.
And that's a battle game.
Oh, yeah.
That's a battle game for those two. I'm just saying that. I always find that it's weird we don't want bulletin board material. And I've heard more from this Swedish coach in the last month. I didn't even know who this guy was. Now you hear him coming up saying this, saying that, saying this, saying that. I think you keep that in-house.
Absolutely.
When you go out there, so you're letting the public already know. We got. What about our team? You're the guy running show, buddy, and you're going. What about my team?
Well, also he's saying this in Swedish interviews, so there could be some stuff lost in translation. I'm not gonna.
He's opening his mouth. That's number one.
Okay.
He's opening his mouth. Whatever language he's speaking in, he doesn't sound like.
Well, he was asked a question.
And the answer said to me, I wish
I
could.
Again, do you speak Swedish?
No.
Okay, then. Things could be lost in translation.
I'm going to go get an interpreter right now, and I hope she has long blonde hair.
Okay.
Okay, that's where I'm going to start. And
let's keep this moving, because up front, Philip Forsberg, Eric Pedersen, Nylander, Bratt, Zibanejad, Elias Lindholm, Lucas Raymond, Joel Eriksson Ek, Kempe, Leo Carlson, and William Carlson complete the squad.
Not a bad team.
Nope.
I don't think they're tough enough.
Well,
they're Swedish.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Hi, Don. How you doing?
Team USA, this is where I start to really be off with my picks.
I couldn't figure out some of the American picks, but I understand it more now. Go ahead.
So, Hellebuck and Ottinger I was on. I had Stolars making the team, but they named Swayman. On D, Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox, Werenski, McAvoy, Slavin, and Faber I all had. I had John Carlson, but they named Noah Hannafin instead.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a surprise given the way Carlson's been going this year, but Hannafin, I guess he's been steady. He's been a Team USA guy.
Yes, he has. I wasn't surprised they took Hannafin because I was hearing the scuttlebutt all up to.
He hasn't been that great with Vegas this year, though.
But he's still solid. He's a big game player. That's why I think he's in there.
Up front, I had Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Brock Nelson, JT Miller, Kyle Connor, Matthew Boldy, Jack Eichel, Vincent Trocheck, and Dylan Larkin. The 3 players I had named that did not make the team, Jason Robertson, Alex Tuck, and Tage Thompson.
That's the biggest surprise. I would have taken both those guys just so you would have already had a line. You know what I mean?
Tuck, I would have thought with his penalty killing, and Tage Thompson, such a good goal scorer, a big body.
Well, I was looking at it that way because we'll talk about this in a minute.
Yeah.
When you go on to the Canadian team.
Oh, and Team USA named Brady Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, and Chris Kreider to the team.
And Kreider's getting run out of town in New York.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Because they know he's a big game player. Do you notice that those last 3 guys
defensive liability, though?
A bit. But notice those guys are all physical?
Gensel?
Oh, I forgot. But who the other?
Tkachuk and Kreider.
Yeah, they're physical guys.
So because Alex Tuck isn't?
No, I thought he should have been. I thought him and Tage Thomas would be on the team. We discussed that before. I thought just bring them on and give them a winger and away they go. Because like what I'm looking at is if you look at Canada, who's the small guy?
Hold on. Sticking with Team USA though, Friedman had a very interesting thing where he said he got word that someone on Team USA when they got the word that they weren't on the team, his response was so bad that he's probably going to be left off every American team in the future. I wonder if that's a Tage Thompson or a Jacob Trouba.
Oh, I bet you it's Tage Thomas. He got a little attitude.
No, you think so?
Yeah, and he, as well as he should. Now, he had that big goal scoring year, and then he slumped off, and he kind of...
But he's back to it this year.
I say so, too. I'm shocked that he's not on the team, just for his size and his scoring in front of the net.
And now it sounds like he might not ever make it to Team USA.
I hope he's not the guy. I like the guy, personally.
I think he's a good player.
Me, too.
Finally, moving to the big one, Team Canada. So this is where I was the most off, especially goaltending, where, really, you could have just pulled a name out of the hat. Everyone had different ones. I was on Binnington. He was the only one of my guys that made the team.
I thought Aiden Hell should have. I was saying Aiden Hell.
I didn't have him named, though, last week.
Mind you,
I looked at his numbers in the last month. He had improved, so I guess...
Played great last night.
He was great. He made the team along with Montembeau. I had Logan Thompson and Cam Talbot, but they missed. On D, Devin Taves, Kel McCarr, Shea Theodore, Alex Petrangelo, Josh Morrissey. I had Riley and Montour. They both missed for Sanheim and Parayko. Parayko's a little bit of a surprise for me.
I thought that it would have taken Montour over Parayko. I thought they took him for his size then.
He did, but he's another one. He could be a little bit of a liability in his own end.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I thought Montour was going to make it over Riley. That's what I thought, because I thought Riley would be a borderline guy.
Well, look at the roster. It looks like McCarr's going to be the top power play guy, and I guess they're going to have Morrissey second power play unit.
Playing good.
Yeah.
Playing very
Can't
good
argue with that.
Okay.
Up front, Braden Point, Connor McDavid, Mitch Marner, Brad Marchand, Nathan McKinnon, Sam Reinhart, Mark Stone, Sidney Crosby, Travis Konechny, and Anthony Cirelli were the 10 I was right on. And then I had Hyman, Scheifele, and Robert Thomas. I'm really surprised Robert Thomas didn't make the team. But the three Canada names, Hagel from Tampa Bay, Sam Bennett, and Seth Jarvis, probably the biggest surprise on the team.
No doubt, but I took a look at what that kid's doing, and he hasn't been bad.
Better than Robert Thomas, though?
I don't know about that. I thought it was 50-50 because I thought like Scheifele was a guy I thought was coming in for sure.
But we know about the attitude rumors with him, right?
Exactly. So that probably kiboshed him here. But I thought the great pick was Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
We didn't bring, like I mentioned, like he could be a guy on the outside, but I didn't say he'd make the team. But I'm glad that he is, because if you look at those lines there for Canada and the other teams did it accordingly, we've got the toughest team. Like look at us going up and down the wings. And what small guys we have. Marner and Marchand. Those are small guys.
Morrissey.
Morrissey, but he's still he's solid. He's solid. He's thick. He's not small, big, but he's very shifty. But look at the rest of the guys on this team. They're all bangers. They all go to the front of the net. They all do good things. I think Canada's roster was very well picked. I think it was picked on a traditional basis where we thought about things like penalty killing, toughness, killing it in the last 2 minutes of a game, all of that stuff. We've got all of those elements, which means some guys that we could talk about around the league that perhaps could have made the team, didn't make the team. I think Cofield didn't make the American team just because he was too small.
Oh, big time.
That's
and again, like we've talked about this before, when it comes down to your like fourth line guys, you need to look at guys who add like a different element, because you can't just have like 12 goal scorers.
Exactly. And
right?
I think that's one of the impetuses on the end of the roster, especially in the American forwards. I think they were looking at that way because they know they're going to have to muscle up to Canadians. You know what I mean?
They've overthought that before though, so we will see if that works out for them this time. We'll move this to our Saturday night pick'em.
Okay.
Cruz, last week we tied 7 for 7, or 7 of 12 for each of us.
Sucked.
So not a great night.
Sucked.
On the season series, we are 3-3-3. Or no, 3-3-2 rather. I've won 3, you've won 3, and we've tied twice. I'm ahead on the total picks by 4.
I'm going to remedy that right now.
Okay.
Here we start with the game on the screen first. Can I say it and then switch to the game?
Philly. Well, let's start. Philly at Boston. I got Boston winning. They're on a hot streak.
I'm taking Philly.
I feel bad for you.
Thank you.
Utah at Buffalo. I got Buffalo.
I got Buffalo. Should we switch the screen now to see what's going on?
Yeah, you can switch to that.
Because now we made the pick.
Winnipeg at Chicago.
Come on.
I got Winnipeg winning on the road despite them being...
this is the remedy. This is their
although
slump
Chicago
breaker.
could have the new coach bump.
No. Winnipeg can't afford to lose that game.
Doesn't matter. That's not how it works. Carolina at the New York Islanders. I got Carolina winning this one on the road, especially with the Islanders waiting for something to happen.
I took the Islanders because I think that they're going to get a win through the goaltending.
Cruz, you picked the Islanders way too much.
Every week.
San Jose at Florida. I'm at Florida. Or I'm on Florida.
Oh, all day. How can you not?
Washington at Montreal. I think this could be a trap game. I'm picking Montreal at home.
I'm taking Montreal at home, too, because I think that Washington had everything on the line, and they're going to take a big pause, and before they know it, they're down 3-0.
Nashville Predators at the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to take Ottawa to win this one at home.
Nashville for the upset.
Okay.
No, I got Ottawa.
Oh.
I got Ottawa.
Colorado Avalanche at the Detroit Red Wings. I think the Avalanche, this is the typical big game they blow. Give me Detroit at home.
No, I'm taking Colorado. They're on a roll. They got to beat these teams to keep them down because they can't.
Are they on a roll?
Well, they're on they're half a roll. Do you see Colorado?
They're 5-5 in their last 10.
Okay, so let
me
me preface that. I seen Colorado play 3 times in the last week or 4 times. One night they got beat 8-2. The next night I see them. They're the best looking skating team in the league.
Yeah, there you go.
They're just so, I don't even know how to explain them, but I think they're going to be dangerous. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Toronto Maple Leafs at the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think the Leafs bounce back and be the Leafs.
I think they're going to slap them hard just because they played so hard last night and didn't win, and I don't think Pittsburgh is going to have the goaltending that they had.
Although I was at this game last year and the Penguins won.
And
Same weekend too as the Abu Dhabi race weekend too.
You know what's interesting though is that Pittsburgh and Toronto both lost last night. You know, and they're both tough games. Like they were very tough. So let's see who's going to have the bounce back.
Minnesota at LA, the game of the night.
Oh, no doubt.
Both Minnesota on a 5-game win streak, LA on a 4-game win streak. I'm going to pick Minnesota to keep their streak alive.
It's in LA, right?
Yeah, it is in LA.
Only reason I'm taking LA.
Minnesota's a very good road team, though.
Solid. What does it say here? Yeah, 11. Oh, shit.
Yeah, more than solid.
I forgot about
Rock
that.
hard. How about
one loss? One regulation loss on the road. Whew.
And last but not least, St. Louis at the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to choose St. Louis to steal this one on the road.
I don't think that Edmonton can afford to lose games like that with St. Louis already being ahead of them in the standings.
Edmonton's ahead of St. Louis.
By what?
2 points.
2 points? Well, let's not let it be tied. I'm taking Edmonton.
Okay. Best of luck to you, sir. Not too many of our picks are the same this week.
Good. As I said, I'll catch the 4.
And then we'll move this to the big one here at the House That Happens, the NFL, with a new set of power rankings.
Okay, first of all, can I say 3 things? Really quickly?
Yeah.
Detroit Lions, Detroit Lions, Detroit Lions, baby!
Big win. All the cheeseheads were upset about that on Thursday night.
Okay, was that not one of the best football games you've seen all year?
That's up there with, like, there's a couple Baltimore games that
were there too, but that was just a great football game. We had 7 starters missing on
defense,
and we still came up with that effort. Oh, and not only that, I know you don't like Dan Campbell taking his chances.
No, I actually loved that move at the end of the game. I thought that was very savvy. Yeah. That was a very savvy move.
And we pulled it off, game over. You know what I mean?
And they pulled it off even with Goff getting tripped at the line.
Stepping on his thing. I heard the greatest thing, and it's so true. When you talk about the great coaches all the time and they talk about the nuances of the game, Saban was on McAfee. You know yesterday, did you hear what he said? If you win with your offense, win with your offense. Don't give the other team a chance to get on the field. He says, if your offense...
especially Jordan Love on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought it was a well-played game. I was very worried about Green Bay. You know that. Going in there, I was very, very nervous. I still say that Green Bay is a team that if they end up doing some runs in the playoffs, don't count them out. They're too good.
I agree.
And another thing about...
they're my dark horse in the NFC.
I'm not going to say it's not. Now, look at this from my point of view. Everyone knows I'm a disciple of my beloved Detroit Lions. You know what drives me crazy? You're an 11-1 team going into a home game.
12-1 now. Well, sorry.
Then I'm 11-1 going in. We're 11 going to the game. And we're worried about winning the division. When does that happen? Buffalo's clinched their division. We're 11-1, and we're not even secure in winning the division yet. This is the craziest I've seen the NFC North in my life.
Even all the way back to when it was the NFC Central?
Even with NFC Central, we never had, we'd have Tampa Bay and Green Bay up there. And Chicago was always kicking around. Detroit was always the guy, the redheaded step cousin trying to get in the door. And we had our moments because we had a couple years where 3 teams did make it in the Stafford era from the NFC North and when we were still, Tampa Bay was in the division. But this is unbelievable. All 3 teams that can make the playoffs. Now, I think Minnesota's fraudulent. Yeah, Brady, listen, you hear me? Darren Brady?
I'm not sold on Minnesota either.
I'm not sold on them yet either. They've got some pretty crazy wins and when tough gets to tough, we're going to see teams that are in the middle of the pack that they've beaten, but they a battle to beat. Green Bay and Detroit has bitch slapped those teams, which tells you that's a big difference in them. But the NFC North, I've never seen a division 11-1, bro, and we're not even close to winning the division.
12-1 now.
12-1, and we're still not out of the woods on the division. We got Buffalo and Minnesota to go. It's not over, and that was my biggest fear was to lose 2 in a row, Green Bay, Buffalo. I said, if we split on those, we should be good. We've already got the split. And the game in Buffalo is in Detroit, so we should be happy.
All right, so I'll give you my top 5 power rankings.
Okay.
Number 5, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Number 4, I got the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Number 3, I got Buffalo.
Okay.
Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I bet you can guess who I got at number 1, the Detroit Lions.
So I don't have to give you my top 5 then.
Same?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay.
I was going to have Philly at number 1 until that game on Thursday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is like, they scare me. They scare me like, and I think we could beat them, but if they beat us, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, we lost to Philadelphia. You know what I mean? They're a good football team. Which brings me to this. The scuttlebutt around the league about who is the MVP should be the best player that's moving your team forward. Okay? So except for Adrian Peterson in 2011, was it? With his 2,000-yard season, he had to have a 2,000-yard season to be MVP. My number 1 candidate for the MVP right now, and I'm going to say it very large, is Saquon Barkley. I mean, Josh Allen is the front runner there, so to speak. But why? Because he's a quarterback. Buffalo's got a great record. He's got no targets remember they said at the beginning of the year, I was the only one that gave Buffalo the benefit of a doubt.
For what?
Everybody.
No.
Did you say him in the playoffs?
I had them winning the division. I was the only one that had them winning the division.
Maybe that's it. Pick was the one that kicked them to
Pick
the curb.
didn't even have them in the playoffs.
Okay, but in any event, this just tells you like the window for Buffalo, as long as Josh Allen is healthy, they'll always be a contender. McDermott knows how to move around his defense. And, Buffalo. Josh Allen's got his thing. But I'm getting back to my original point. Saquon Barkley has to be the MVP.
More than Josh Allen.
More than Josh. If I had a vote right now, and I love Josh Allen, you know that. But if I had a vote right now, my pick would be Saquon Barkley. He's on pace to break the accumulative yardage for one season over Chris Johnson when he had the 2,000-yard season, because Dickerson didn't have all the passing yards that these guys got.
Right.
But in any event, and let's have a shout out to O.J. Simpson. People forget that. He wrote
shout out O.J. Simpson.
I
was not expecting that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why, because they talk about how the numbers have changed. You realize that O.J. Simpson rushed for 2,000 yards and it was only a 14-game season.
Yeah.
In the 70s. Whew.
Well, they ran a lot more back then too, right?
But still, to run for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season, that's still one of the greatest seasons of all time.
And he also got away with murder. What do you know?
That guy's, you know what I mean? Hall of Famer in a lot of things. But in any event, it just tells you where it is, because it's got to speak to the fact that my whole life, running backs have been my favorite players. You know what I mean? And then the devaluing of the running backs.
That's the most sad thing in the world.
Oh, but the pendulum has now swung. And just look at the guys that they dumped. Okay, Joe Mixon, we can't take you. How's he doing in Houston? Josh Jacobs, we got to let you go. Oh, look what he's doing in Green Bay. David Montgomery got pushed off the cliff in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he got to a division opponent like the Lions. What about that? Derrick Henry.
Now he's Knuckles.
He's Knuckles. Okay, so now look at Derrick Henry. He's getting too old, too much mileage. Oh, gee, look what happened in Baltimore.
Oh, Tennessee's stupid.
So I'm going to look at it this way. The running back is back.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? The running back is back.
And no wide receivers are really, I mean, Jamar Chase and like a couple other guys, but besides that, like
Justin Jefferson too. Okay, so
yeah, but in the last few weeks.
Okay, so you know when I was just showing you on the Insiders was on TV and Belichick's up at the thing, and I know I watched too much because I was saying that too, and this is what Buffalo changed from last year. They got bigger guys to play back in the secondary, because when you're playing too high and you got a great pass rush, if the guy gets through the middle, who's going to hit him?
Yeah.
So notice everyone's bulked up now because they're going to put the cover two or way in the back there. So now it's forcing you to run more. So the team with the active linebackers are the teams that are at the top. Who are we talking about? Philadelphia, Detroit, Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are active front sevens, and that's making a difference. And as long as you have a running back that can get through the hole, that can hit speedy guys, you know what I mean? There's a thing called physics in this game. If one inertia piece is bigger than the other inertia pick, guess what we have? Safety's getting blasted off the field. You know what I mean? So God bless the running backs being back. And for my money, Saquon Barkley, if he keeps going the way that he's going, MVP.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So let's go around the league. I think the biggest news this week was from the games on Sunday was the Houston hit on Trevor Lawrence. He was sliding already, and then basically a direct hit to the head, and like basically the guy had like a brace on his arm too, right? And he got in the head. Yeah.
Okay. What's your
Who's
take
a repeat
on
offender?
Okay. So have you heard some of the scuttlebutt this week about that? Okay.
A lot of opinions.
Okay. So let's get to the first one. Oh, he's not a dirty player. He's just very rugged. If you look at his fines, what were they won? One's for fighting out of bounds, which all the players do. One of them was for roughing the passer. How many guys have been roughing the passer in the league? Okay, and a couple times he's been a headhunter on defense.
Well, that's the big one.
Okay, so we can't disrespect that. So we know who you are. But you're also the captain of your defense, and you got Miko Ryans, who was a tough linebacker in his day, who backed him to the nines, and then the GM came out. Did you see the GM's press conference?
No, I missed that.
Anyway, the league. Did you see how the league statement put out? They basically said Al-Shahir is the worst player that ever came into the league. He's a scumbag. He wrecks the shield. He's this, he's that. Like, they attacked his character.
He kicks his dog. Like that kind of thing.
Everything they said about the guy. So the general manager, I forget his name right now. I think it's Carbon or something.
Either way.
Had the press conference and he said, oh, by the way, you can talk about what happens on the field and you can talk about penalizing a guy. Then he went around the league that other guys that have been thrown out who haven't gotten as badly as Shahir. However, as he was saying this about a bad guy, this guy's handing out shit at a United Way cancer raising fund. Like, people are going, no idea what this guy does off the field. What happens is he's got a click switch, and click switches are dangerous.
Yeah.
You're good off the field, but you come on the field and suddenly you're freaking psycho killer cascade. Come on, wait a second here. My take on it is this. The sliding thing, Tom Brady had the most interesting thing to say about sliding and quarterbacks, and considering he wasn't the most mobile guy, we'll get to him in a second. The guy came in with a forearm.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence was doing the Tua for a second. You know, it wasn't as bad, but he was doing the Tua for a second. So what are you doing? Like, and he was sliding.
Yeah.
You go over the top, but he came up. The thing what made you so egregious was that brace on his arm coming up, cold cocking him in the head. Oh, he got 3 games. Well, guess what? Trevor Lawrence ain't playing the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. You know what I mean? So no matter you do it now, is there a way we're going to get around this? Like Brady says, they on one of the shows, I forget it was, might have been Get Up or one of the shows, they showed 4 instances. Patrick Mahomes won, Lamar won, Josh Allen won, Baker Mayfield won. All those guys looked like they were going to slide, and they didn't. Guess what? All got first downs.
Yeah.
What's a defensive player supposed to do?
Yeah, there you go.
So I got that thing, but I'm still going to say you cannot tolerate hits like that in the league. Come on. I mean, sometimes it's fast motion. Like when the Buffalo guy got thrown out on that sideline one, I don't think he should have got thrown out. Remember the Buffalo game?
Yeah.
Remember that? He hit that? I don't think he should have got thrown out because that was kind of a speed move, and what are you going to do? It's kind of like the hits in the NHL. Did you get your head down far enough? Did you get it head up or whatever? One of the coaches I heard from college said he taught all his guys to slide forward, dive forward. Because he says when you slide like baseball, your upper body's in line for the guy to come over the top and you're going to get a shot at you. If you're sliding forward, he's going to go right over the top of you. Who knows how to do that? I know,
sliding head first I don't think's a good move either, though.
Either one of them, you're in danger.
Yeah.
You're in danger. I think it's like, it's up to the defensive player to be responsible for his actions, but sometimes in a split second, when a nanosecond to make your decision, if it's in one of the other plays, I get sometimes where it's a little bit there, but this guy came in no matter what it is, if he's helping people out, if he's being charitable, and he's this nice guy off the court, you had a brace on your arm, buddy, you came right through and took him in right in the head.
Yeah.
So 3 games was, I heard it might be 1 or 2, I said, he's going to get off easy. When he got 3 and he appealed, and guess what? No, you're sitting 3 games.
That's the right move.
It was the right move. I agree.
Do you think the Commanders are back on track after that win?
No, I think they're just going to get in the playoffs. They're going to be a first-round casualty.
Oh, well, okay, but they're going to stay in the playoffs.
They're probably going to stay in the playoffs. Okay. It's going to be tight for them to get there because the thing that's saving their life is that the NFC West is such a freaking mess.
Yeah. And the South.
And the South, okay? So what happened to Atlanta? I've been trying to jump on their bandwagon all year.
They're a cursed franchise. That's
okay,
what's matter with them.
So what are you going to say now? Are we going to say that maybe Kirk Cousins should sit down if they're not making the playoffs so the kid can come out and we get a look at what he's all about?
If it's like week 18 and they can't make it, then put the kid in. Other than that, like you got to put Kirk.
Huge game today, Atlanta going back to Minnesota.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a return of Kirk Cousins to a place where he didn't get the money they wanted. Somebody else paid him.
I've been going back and forth on that game all week.
I haven't decided either. The spread's still 3.5, right?
6-6. Minnesota's laying 6 points.
I'm still going to lead with Minnesota. I think
even though they're frauds.
Well, they play up to these teams' letter. I'm not saying they're a complete fraud, but I think that they've got a lot more holes. They've had a compared to Green Bay and Detroit, they've had a third or fourth place schedule. So that makes some of their opponents weren't as tough as the other two teams.
Sure.
And some of those teams they struggled to beat. So my thing is this: they're not totally fraudulent, but you got to give their front seven a lot of credit. Even though they've slacked the last couple of weeks, they're one of the leading sack teams in the league. You know that Kirk Cousins is not Michael Jackson, so that shit could happen in the pocket. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm looking at it. So if we're going to go around the league, let's look at the AFC as we usually do. Buffalo, it's over. Miami has its shot. No, they blew it in the cold game. You didn't show up. You're done. So they're not going to make it. It's too bad because it's a team with Tua and team without Tua. Two different teams. And plus you had to go to the cold. You blew your chances. So we got Buffalo coming out of there, which means we go to the AFC South. Does Indianapolis still have a shot?
They have a shot. That's about it.
Okay, this is a big game this week. Doesn't Indianapolis play Houston?
They're at Denver.
Or at Denver, yeah. So who does Houston play this week? I forget.
Houston plays Miami at home. Oh, no, they're on the bye week.
Oh, they're on the bye week. Okay.
Then they come back to play Miami at home.
Well, that should be an interesting thing. But I still think Houston's going to win the division, so going to be there. Indianapolis has got a hope in hell because they've got some defense. But then I expected Tennessee to cover the spread, and look how that happened with their number one rated defense in the league. So we got one team coming out of there.
At the end of the day, Tennessee's still 3-9.
Unbelievable. But anyway, so we got one team coming out of there and one team out of the East. So now we got to go to the NFC North. It's starting to look more and more like the NFC North. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are going to be there.
Oh, what a great game between the Steelers and Bengals.
One of the better games of the year, too. What a dogfight it is. And I think that what happened is Lamar was right.
And one more thing about the Colts. Them going for 2 and winning in New York. Or New England, rather.
Yeah. But, I mean, you're on the road.
Exactly. I like that decision. You have the chance to close it on the road, do it.
Do it. If you're at home, it's a little bit differently. You got the fans to worry about. But they made the right decision. Maybe Anthony Richards is all the way back. Maybe this was a good learning lesson for them. With their defense and their core, they've got the possibility of making the playoffs, but I'm not liking it. So,
no.
NFC,
but back to the North, yeah.
The North. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are both locks.
Yeah, Baltimore, though, losing a big game to the Eagles.
Oh.
I think in the grand scheme of things, unless the Ravens really figure it out and really lean on Derrick Henry like they should be, I think they're going to be in trouble again. It seems like they didn't learn their lesson from the conference championship last year.
You know what's even worse is the fact
Deontay Johnson.
Okay, but you know what's even worse is that Baltimore's got to go on the road now. And you know how tough it is to do that road run to get to the Super Bowl. So what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to go through Pittsburgh and they're going to have to go through Buffalo.
Kansas City as well, potentially.
Oh, and Kansas City. We're going to get to that in a minute. So those two are going to make it. So the most surprising division in football this year is the AFC West.
Yes.
How can you not say that they're not? Now you're showing that what's the difference in coaching? I got 4 words. Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh.
I love Jim Harbaugh, too.
Look at Denver's 8-5. Kansas
after losing their first 2, right?
Yeah, and Denver's 8-5. Chargers are 8-5. Oh, by the way, what's Baltimore?
Were they 8-5?
8-5.
Well, and the Chargers have allowed the least amount of points in the league too.
Well, and not only that, they've got that weak schedule because they got the last place schedule. So when you run down the run for Denver, Denver's a run to go home, and even Denver and the Chargers, they have much weaker schedule than Baltimore going down the road. So Baltimore's going to have to win out just to make the playoffs. And the
Chargers are 8-4, not 8-5.
Okay, 8-4. The other guys, one of them has a bye this week, right? Is it Denver or one of
them? Denver and Baltimore are both on their byes.
Both of them?
Yep. This is the last week of bye weeks.
Okay, bye weeks. So they're both 8-5, right? And the Chargers are 8-4?
8-4.
Or 8-4. So therefore, if the Chargers win this week, they could be the lead spot for the first wild card, which you're not going to take away from them with their defense. And they've got Herbert and they got Harbaugh. This is going to be very, very interesting.
Great in the trenches, great O-line, great D-line.
Oh, and how many years? And I've been talking about it since we started this show, and now when I hear more about it on TV, I hear some big name people. Yeah, it goes in. And O-line is very important. I'm not going to mention names, but some of these guys have played the game. Some of these guys are on TV a lot, and they're starting talking about O-lines. I go, I knew that by the time I was 20 years old. If you have an O-line, you don't have a football team.
That's what makes Kansas City a very interesting team because, like, in the middle, their center and their guards, I think they're, like, some of the top ranked in the leagues, but their tackles that they're struggling with.
Very much so, especially on the left side. We can all see that. Mina Kimes shows it out every week. What's this going on here? Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to play a little bit more with a fullback to protect them on that side, if you notice them, because they've had some two-back sets lately, and that might help them. The thing about this, Darren Brady, is this. Teams that win 8 or more games by 1 point usually are a first-round casualty in the playoffs.
But how many of those teams won their last 2 Super Bowls?
That's why you don't
sleep on Kansas City, people.
I am not. I'm not until I see them getting dirt thrown on them. I'm not taking away from nothing at all.
And I think too, they still
Patrick Mahomes.
Well, hold on, and also with their tackle situation, they could always just go out and sign guys before the playoffs, right?
Well, they still have an opportunity because what Detroit did with all the guys they brought in is they kept a string to all their taxi squad guys that they've had in the last 2 years. They never let those guys get too far away, so they knew the system. They brought them in. I hope Kansas City's doing the same. But
they probably are. Andy Reid's too smart.
Oh, I get that. So do you think it's a realistic possibility that we could have 3 teams from the West in the playoffs?
100%.
Like
more and more each week, the Colts are looking like a long shot to make that wild card, right?
They have to pretty well win out, and their schedule is as such that they could pull it off. But I'm not counting on them to do it.
At Denver. Okay, that's the big one.
Okay.
If they lose this week, or sorry, it's actually next week they play Denver.
Yes.
Excuse me. But if they don't win that game, they're screwed.
But who do they got this week? That's a win.
I think they're on bye.
Oh, are they?
They are on their bye week.
Okay, they're on their bye, so they got to come back. So if they don't beat Denver, they're done.
Yeah,
which is hard to do in Mile High, and Denver playing the way they are. So we could pretty
Denver coming off a bye week at home.
I'll be taking Denver in my 6-pack next week already, and I haven't even seen the spread. So we can concede that
Although Denver down the stretch, they have a very tough schedule because after that they're at the Chargers versus at the Chargers at the Bengals versus Kansas City.
Who's that? The Denver?
That's Denver.
How many games are at home?
Just the Colts and Kansas City. So 2 at home, 2 on the road.
Could be interesting. Give them the opportunity to see what they can do. But pretty well.
But Indianapolis has to win out to your credit.
That's what I'm saying. They have to win out. They're going to be there. Too bad about the Cincinnati Bengals wasting one of the greatest quarterback seasons we're going to see in a long time. But I want to give a big shout out for Joe Burrow because he bought the Batmobile. Wouldn't you drive that?
Wait, what Batmobile?
The one from Christian Bale.
Oh my God, the tank?
He bought one.
Oh my God.
There's only 12 made. Bieber's got one.
Well,
you know what they're worth?
Taste.
You know what they? Oh, I'd drive one of those in a minute. Ugliest thing on the road. I'd be going down the road looking ugly.
Oh, like those Tesla trucks?
Oh, they're just. I like ugly cars, and the Batmobile. It's sleek, but it's ugly.
I wouldn't call that car sleek. Either way, though.
Hey, what in the Batman movie? You didn't think it was sleek?
The Christian Bale one?
Yeah, I love that car.
I wouldn't call it sleek.
More tankish.
Yeah,
but it moves sleek.
Yeah.
AI is a wonderful thing. Okay, but anyway, that's
AI. What does that have to do with AI?
Well, some of those scenes can't be real.
Well, that's not AI. That's just computer graphics.
Or computer, whatever it is. Yeah, it's pretty well. Let's get away from that.
Actually, Christopher Nolan doesn't use CG, so that would have been all real.
Would it?
Yeah.
I love Christopher Nolan. He's great. You know what I mean? And I loved the last Batman one.
What, the Robert Pattinson one?
The one with Maine. Where they went to Pittsburgh and they went to the stadium. Remember?
That's my favorite of the Christian Bale ones, to be honest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I got
because it was the most like a comic book. I loved it.
That's what drove me crazy about it. It was more like a comic book.
Oh, well, guess what?
It's a comic book. But anyways, Joe Burrow is going to be known for this season. What's he going to be known for? Buying a Batmobile. Not leading the league in passing, not having one of the best wide receivers in the league, not one of the greatest offensive performances in his life. Do you know that there is no quarterback in the history of football that has made his numbers and missed the playoffs?
Wow.
Since the merger, nobody has had any quarterback that has Joe Burrow's numbers was in the playoffs.
Sorry about your luck, Joe.
No kidding.
Also, going back to the Bengals, Jameis Winston literally throwing the game away versus the Denver Broncos.
Oh, that's Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Cleveland?
Because we're AFC.
Okay, AFC.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. Everyone knows a song I wrote called Jack Morris, and it's got lyrics about God. Every one of you love God, great. Jameis Winston, God had nothing to do with that pick six.
Well, he's got a sense of humor about it, though. Come on.
He had his eyes closed. He was praying at the press conference, deliver me from the pick sixes.
Come on. I think he's saying that like with a bit of humor there. Come on.
I hope he is, because you know what? God gets blamed for enough in this world today. He should get blamed for pick sixes. Give it a break. Come on. You know what I mean?
I think he said that with the little tongue in cheek.
He's becoming a pastor. He's
I
practicing.
like the guy. I like the guy
I
more
like
and more.
him too, but I always say, what did Ryan Clark said it best? When you go to see Jameis Winston, you're going to see Jameis Winston football.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Threw 6 touchdowns. Up 2 went the other way. Responsible for 700 and what was it? 721 yards. Oh, only 491 of his. He threw for 491 yards, bro.
I know.
Threw to 6 different guys.
I know.
That's a winning formula. Pick six. Do you think they'll keep him? He's got a job somewhere. He's only around 30.
I have no idea how Cleveland's going to handle their quarterback situation. Like it's already ridiculous enough as it is. I have no clue how that organization thinks, because they don't seem to do anything that makes sense.
Okay, so
especially with their quarterbacks.
So they got 2 years left on Deshaun's contract after this. Do they pull a Russell Wilson?
I think they have to.
Ooh, that's going to be a big
And
hit.
is Jameis Winston the guy?
But he's in the house and everyone likes him and he kind of wins.
Fair enough.
Could be a stopgap to you draft your next quarterback.
Maybe.
Okay, so we're all on the same page, because we're running really, really late.
Into the NFC.
Into the NFC. Now, we do know this. Detroit Lions, by far, are now considered the best team in football after that. Absolutely.
I wouldn't say by far.
Not by far, but I'm
Philly's
saying
there.
right now, as of today, December 7th.
December 7th.
They should be considered the best team in football because they've done it. They've won every way possible. Now, Darren Brady, and I hope you're listening. So we won 3 games at the last minute. We got game-winning field goals. How many teams in the league win with the game-winning field goals? Lots. We've learned how to win in all different ways and all different environments at all different times.
You guys in Kansas City, I don't hold that against you.
No, that's what I'm just saying there. Even though we've been more dominant in Kansas City.
Fair.
Okay, because you know what I'm saying?
But people are also coming for Kansas City more than you guys, I think.
There you go. That's a big thing there. But look, the teams that are really, really tough are the ones that we've had to battle down to the wire or division games. All the other teams like the Tennessees and all them, we beat the shit out of them, which is what you're supposed to do. So as Dan Campbell, MCDC says, stay on track. So Detroit, I still cannot say at this moment that they will win the division. I'm going to get called out on that. You're a Detroit
They clinched the playoff
guy.
spot, though.
Oh, that's great. But I want the division. I want the number 1 seed. We can't concede that at this moment with 4 games left.
No.
Who do we got? Who do we got coming down the stretch? We got Minnesota, Buffalo, Chicago, and
Buffalo. So next week versus Buffalo, then at Chicago, at San Francisco versus Minnesota.
That should be 2 wins for sure. Okay, and that's talking San Francisco and I'm talking Chicago. But that's a division game in Soldier Field. It could be
that's
shitty.
the thing.
That could be a little
I think you guys are lucky that you're playing Buffalo at home.
Oh, I agree. There's no doubt about it. And you don't think that. And do you ever see Josh Allen's record again? Him and Lamar have the best record against NFC teams. Yeah. So it's going to be dangerous. And guess what? The front end of Buffalo's pass rush is pretty good. What's the problem with Jared Goff? Doesn't move that well in the pocket. Best play action quarterback. So we got that.
Well, that's because you guys got the run game going.
Oh, run game's unbelievable. And you know about Detroit is notice that Jared Goff threw the ball around the field to different guys the other night. And I want to say this to all the Detroit sort of fans. We're not running Jameis Williams out of town. Are you guys idiots? Kids made some mistakes. Come on. You don't want Jameis Williams on your team?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Is he an Alabama guy too?
I think so.
We got 4 Alabama blue chip guys on our team. I know that, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
We can't complain about that. So when you go around there, I think right there's your 3 teams.
Well,
Detroit,
the Lions,
Minnesota, and Green Bay.
Yeah, all in the playoffs.
All in the playoffs. Not only that, I think Green Bay, nobody wants to play Green Bay in the first round because they're going to be on the road.
I predict they're going to win their first playoff game.
If they go of the best record.
Well, they're going to go into either the NFC West winner or like the AFC South winner.
There you go. Yeah. So they should win that right away. So that means in the next round, they're going to have to play Philadelphia or Detroit. All depends.
But division game in the playoffs, that's a huge wrinkle there. Even against Philly, I'd give them a fighter's chance.
Who's that?
Green Bay.
100%. No, I think Green Bay's a great team, and they were missing 2 or 3 guys too. 2 on the defense, and what's his name?
Yeah, they got all those Georgia guys on defense.
You got it, and so does Philadelphia.
Yeah,
that
there
makes
we go.
it really crazy. So I'm going to be in there. Who's going to win the AFC West?
NFC West.
NFC West.
By the way, shout out to Seattle. One of the craziest games last week against the Jets.
I feel sorry for the Jets, but we don't have to bring them up.
I don't feel bad for the Jets at all.
Okay, whatever the case may be. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater. Now that
it's not about Aaron Rodgers, it's the Jets and their stupid owner.
And look at
Ambassador Woody.
And firing everybody at this point in time. Like, it's really interesting on that really quick, because I wonder what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers in the future, but that's nothing to talk about now. Who's going to win the West? First of all, we got the Rams playing Philly today.
I think it's going to be Arizona or Seattle.
I do too. And I think that Arizona is going to win today because they seem to win at home and puke it up on the road, which I don't understand.
And they're an up and down team, and they've been down, so it's time for them to come up.
They're 4-2 at home. What is that? And I think they got a winning record. They're 2-1 in the division. I think that they can win here, and that'll have the what do you call that? The tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Would they beat Seattle? I think they're going to win at home. I think they could pull it out. But we've still got games. The Rams, I think, are in big trouble because they're going to lose to Philly. If they beat Philly, then I'll give them all, because they play Philly this week, right? Yeah. That's if the Rams, and thank God it's in L.A.
And they're laying
7.
Oh, no, sorry. Philly's playing Carolina. The Rams are playing Buffalo.
Or Buffalo, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So who do you like there?
Oh, Buffalo.
And what's the spread?
3.5.
Matthew Stafford has done crazier things, but if Buffalo, I'll tell you this, Wes, if the Rams beat Buffalo, they'll make the playoffs. They'll win the division.
Ooh. San Fran's done.
Oh, yeah.
They got, after that loss by Buffalo last week, and like the running backs are injured to shit. Fred Warner's playing with like broken ankle.
That's why he hasn't been as effective.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's like why are you even still playing? I don't get that.
Well, after one more game, he's going to be done. You know that San Francisco and sit everybody down. All those guys that are hacked and thing. Once
just
they
tank for a good draft pick after that.
Yeah, let's just get out of here. They're not stupid. So we're going there. So now we have to go to the NFC South. Which team's going to win there? Is it going to be Tampa Bay or Atlanta? I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay because all that shit I said about Atlanta, they just don't know how to put the pieces together, and they've had horrible losses. You know what I mean?
And Tampa Bay, I mean, they don't really have the defense, but Baker Mayfield's playing like an MVP.
I find Tampa's defense is bend and break. Bend, don't break.
Yeah.
Because they're in the middle of the pack statistically, and I think they're in top 10 in the red zone. So that, and as long as Baker keeps throwing, and Evans is back, and they got a run game, and they got a good O-line, so I think that they're a little bit stronger right now than Tampa, and I will take it there.
And although Bucks just barely slipped by Carolina last week in overtime.
That just blew me away.
I mean,
Carolina
game,
coming
though.
around. It was a Carolina coming around. I don't know. God bless Bryce Young. He's looked better, the best he's looked since he's been in the league.
I hope it's them coming around because, I mean, Bryce Young, I kind of feel bad for the kid, the way the situation he's in.
Look pretty good. So that means that we got Philadelphia and Washington making the playoffs?
Absolutely.
So at this point right now, we're going to get 2 from the east, 3 from the north, and only 1.
What? What do you mean? 3 from the north, 2 from the east?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other divisions are only going to give us 1.
Yeah.
We're running late. We should get to our picks.
Oh, also, I just want to mention the Deontay Johnson situation in Baltimore, where he basically gave up on the team, and now he's suspended, right?
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be.
Are you that much of a bitch just because you're not like wide receiver 1 on the team? Like, you know, you got yourself into here. You were going to pass Zay Flowers in the depth chart.
Okay, exactly. But you know what? It's all about these guys thinking about agents whispering in their ear and me.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the best example of what a wide receiver should be like, and everyone's going to say I'm biased. Amon St. Brown.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you see him play the other night? He only had about 3 catches. 2 huge blocks. And Jameis Williamson on the other side. 2 huge blocks. These guys aren't the biggest wide receivers in the league.
No.
They're knocking guys down because it's for the better of the team. Like they had 3 guys on Brown all night the other night. So what happened is that Henry guy got a bunch of catches. Laporta had one of his better games. Jared Goff knows where to go on that. And then what happened on the big 3rd down play that they need in that final drive? Who got the play in the thing? Now they did say he pushed off on the one play where he pushed off on the guy. Maybe he got away with it.
Yeah.
On that big 3rd down. But that's how you should be playing, buddy. Like, John, what's your problem? Like, you're crying like a little bitch. Earn your spot and away we go. Should be that simple.
I agree. So on to our picks?
On to our picks.
So last week, I had my first win since week 2 against you. I won 9-7. On the season series, it is 5 for you, 3 for me, and 5 ties.
That's for the year?
Yep. And then you are, in total picks, you are only 3 ahead of me. You're at 103. I'm at 100.
So what are the standings? The house that happened should be looking up on that list.
Yeah.
We'll take a look. I don't want to even...
And then for the Thursday night game, it was a push. So neither of us... I was on Green Bay. You were in Detroit.
Yeah.
It was the first push in a while, actually. Like, we had a lot of pushes early on this season.
Because it was only 3 points, right?
3 points, yeah.
Was that in picks, too? The pick and pool was only 3?
I don't know. I don't ever see what I don't have to log in for that.
It was open. I'll give it to you. It was one in or text pick. When you text pick next time, I thought it was 2.5. So I don't know, but I thought then I heard it was 3.5. So who knows? But anyways, well, that was a push. Let's get on to the games at hand.
All right. So New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Miami is giving up 6 points, but I'm still going to take the Dolphins at home. Jets are a mess.
I think that Miami absolutely has to win this game to keep things going, and they're at home in the warmth with all the confusion, and Tua's just a better player when they're at home. I'm taking all the way. I'm taking Miami.
Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings giving up 6 at home. This one screams backdoor cover to me. I'm taking the Falcons. I think Minnesota still wins the game, though.
I think Minnesota's going to cover.
New Orleans Saints at the New York Giants. Saints are laying 5 points on the road. I'm going to take the Giants to cover at home.
Why?
Because I think the Saints away from home, I don't believe in them. 5 points?
They're going to win 21-10.
Wow, so you're on New Orleans.
All the way. I look at the experts' picks all week. I had 2 big experts say the upset of the week is going to be the Giants. I said, I better pay attention. Then I looked at their records for the year. Stop it. You know what I mean? They say they're experts. Check their record for the year. You know how many records?
Yeah, although the Saints have only done well at home, though.
Giants are horrible. They don't even know who's playing quarterback this week.
It's fine. It's all good.
Okay, I'm taking the Saints all day.
Carolina at Philly. Philly is laying 14 points at home, but that's not going to scare me. I'm still taking the Eagles. I think they win by 20.
No, Stanley. Easy. I think so too. Stanley, get over here. Come here.
So you're on Philly?
Yeah. As we know, as part of the show, we do have a third person.
Stanley, go to Papa. Come on.
We haven't discussed Stanley being in the room. Stanley, come here. Hey, you know what?
He's getting a little antsy. He's been a good boy for most of the show, though.
Yeah, I agree. Get over here. He's looking for food and love.
Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's laying 6.5 at home. It doesn't matter. I still think Pittsburgh's going to cover.
I don't know where to go with this after the Jameis Winston thing last week, and Cleveland just beat Pittsburgh in a crazy weather game. This is tough.
Pittsburgh's going to be up for revenge.
That pass rush on Russell Wilson, though. What'd you say, 6?
6.5.
Division game in Pittsburgh? I'm going to take Cleveland in the points.
Wow. You never take Pittsburgh, even though it always bites you.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week,
I'm stubborn.
I think you said last week no chance Pittsburgh would win at Cincy.
Well, I didn't say no chance. I just thought that Cincy would play a lot better. They had many chances to win that game.
Either way.
Another crazy game. Cincinnati, you just got to give up on them. That's all.
Raiders at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks laying 6.5 at home. I'm going to take the Bucks.
How can you not? You know, that should be a 20-point win.
Jacksonville at Tennessee. Tennessee is laying 3.5 at home. I'm still going to take Tennessee.
They got to win one for me. Johnny Mav, you hear me? I'm taking your freaking Titans again. They keep kicking me in the face.
Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. I went back and forth. Cardinals are laying 2.5 at home. I'm on Arizona.
I'm on Arizona, too.
Big game here for the division.
Huge.
Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams. Buffalo is being favored by 3.5 on the road. I'm going to take the Bills.
I think they'll travel well. Sorry, Matty Stafford. I love you to death, but
I'm surprised.
I'm taking the Bills.
Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. Niners are laying 3.5 at home. I think Bears win this one outright.
Oh, gee. Bears and
Niners.
In San Fran?
San Fran's laying 3.5. I think Bears take it either way. Bears are going to win this. San Fran's falling apart.
I think they hold on to it at home.
San Fran?
I'm taking San Fran.
Wow. LA Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are laying 4 points at home. I think this is going to be a field goal game, so I'm going to take the Chargers.
I'm thinking that Andy Reid's saying, look at guys, these guys are in our division. Things have gotten tough. We got to show that we're the boss. We're in our house. Let's give these guys a little lesson that we're still the Kansas City Chiefs. Guess who I'm taking?
Okay.
And I love San Diego. I mean,
LA.
I love LA.
This game's going to come down to, it's going to be like a 1 or 2 point game you watch.
Gotta love the Chargers D.
And last but not least, the game that the most intriguing thing is that Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson will be on the field. Cincinnati Bengals at the Dallas Cowboys. Cincinnati's laying 5.5 on the road. I think Dallas wins when they shouldn't be winning and they lose when they should be winning, so I'm going to take Dallas to cover at home.
I think it's going to be one of those games where everyone's going to realize that Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and we finally put both teams to bed for the rest of the year. Cincinnati to win.
Cincinnati to win.
And cover.
Wow.
Cooper Ferguson against Joe Burrow. And Joe's going to pull up to fucking Texas A&T in his Batmobile. You know what I mean? That's what he's going to do, shoot out some flames. Dallas, I'm so glad that they're just pathetic.
No, they're going to win this game because their fans don't want them to, so.
Okay.
That's the way it is. So that basically takes us to the end of the show. We just got a little bit of trivia here.
Okay.
Okay, buddy, don't slobber on my
Sorry,
leg.
the show was so long, but it's so good you're going to love it.
Well, they've listened to it by this point, so they know it's good.
Yes, thank you.
All right, trivia question provided by mon frère Steven. On Thursday, Connor McDavid recorded his 40th career 4-point game. Who is the only other active player to also achieve this feat?
What is it?
On Thursday, Connor McDavid recorded his 40th career 4-point game. Who is the only other active player to also achieve this feat?
Active player that has achieved this
40 career 4-point games.
Let's look around the league really quickly. It's active right now, right?
Yeah. There's 3 candidates I have.
Matt Duchene won?
No. It's either Crosby, Ovechkin, or Kane. I'm leaning Ovi.
I'm leaning Kane.
I'm going to say Ovi. Watch it be Crosby, though.
I'm taking Sid. He's from Scotia.
Yeah?
Taking Sid.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Good job, Cruz.
Thank you. That's only because he's Scotian. Do you see my Scotia flag right there?
I do.
That's a tribute to me and Sidney Crosby.
Love Nova Scotia.
Thank you.
And that'll just about do it for us this week, Cruz. What are you looking forward to most this week? Sports-wise.
I'm going to be able to have a nice Sunday because I won't be losing 5 pounds sweating before the Lions before the game starts. I won't be screaming at my dog. I won't be sitting in the silence texting my brother Joe. We're leading this bandwagon, bro. We must text 75 times during the game.
Love it.
We're going to do it. There's only one other thing I'm going to say right now. I'd like to do a very, very huge shout out. Son, you know this gets me emotional, so I'm going to try not to be. However, on Tuesday, 40 years ago, was one of the happiest days of my life. It was the birth of my first son, who is turning 40 on Tuesday.
Congratulations.
Zachary Lee. One day we'll tell you why his name should have been Tiger. He blames his mother. Everybody that knows the history of Mr. and Mrs. Cruz at the time understand why he does not have a tiger on his birth certificate. But that's another story. Son, I love you to death. Been through a lot lately, and we've been hugging tighter than usual, and we got all the way through this, and we still got some things to go. But as long as I got you beside me, I feel everything's going to be okay. I love you to death. Happy birthday. We're going to do a lot more before it's over.
Happy birthday, Zach. Happy birthday, Mitchell, my future brother-in-law. It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mitchell.
I will call you on the way to Radica's today, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, and a big shout-out to Radica. We always miss you. We got to give you a big shout-out just because you've got my Montreal decorations in my hallway looking great.
There we go. And my thing that I'm looking forward to the most this week is that LA Chargers Kansas City game tomorrow night.
Is that on Sunday night?
Sunday Night Football.
That should be a game of the week. Another one thing I want to say, Habs, keep playing as hard as you can. Make everybody shocked. We'll be the best team in the second half, and I can shut everybody else up. Anything else you got to say, buddy?
That is not going to happen.
I didn't ask you to say that. I just said.
You asked me?
Okay. Wrong question to ask at the wrong time.
Sounds like the Habs season.
In a nutshell. In any event, thanks everybody for listening. You know where to find us, people in the neighborhood. I'm glad you're there. Give us a like. I know you're listening because you tell me what I'm saying. I appreciate it immensely.
My name is Andrew Milani.
Now, my name is Cruz.
What do? We keep the vibe alive. You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.